Laying further would inevitably lead to calamity. Boom. Suddenly, the fabric of space was torn asunder. And from the gaping void emerged a Qilin wreathed in violet flames. This was the 100 Shackles Realm Emperor from beyond, a Qilin beast born from the primordial era, possessing a noble bloodline and formidable strength. Its eyes, bright as celestial lamps, gazed towards the distant Emperor Knight, filled with fervor. Master, amidst the sea of flames, the Emperor Knight knelt before the cocoon in reverence. You have worked hard. Pursue your desires without concern for me, came Ji Xian's voice from within the cocoon. This metamorphosis was a transformation, yet it did not imply he lacked the means for self-preservation. Had the Emperor Knight not arrived in time, he too would have suppressed that ancient Bad Emperor. Furthermore, the mythic body of Zhu Jiuyin remained by his side. Understood. The Emperor Knight turned his gaze towards the violet-flamed Qilin lurking in the depths of the cosmos. He had long been aware of its scrutiny. He tightened his grip on the spear, pointing it towards the heavens, charging forth to confront it. In this battle, he sought to prove himself to Ji Xian. With a clash, the two forces collided, shaking the very cosmos, causing countless stars to fall. Each strike unleashed was akin to the creation of the universe, overwhelmingly forceful. The golden divine light clashed with the violet flames, tearing apart the chaos and extinguishing eternity, obliterating the very essence of the great path. The remaining formidable beings swiftly retreated, aware that the aftermath of the confrontation between the two transcendent beings of the 100 Shackles realm was beyond their capacity to endure. This expanse of the universe transformed into a desolate wasteland. Typically, when emperors engage, their interactions are more akin to friendly sparring. However, today, representing opposing factions, they unleashed their true flames, each invoking their most potent techniques in a desperate bid to annihilate their adversaries. A roar erupted. An ancient dragon beast from beyond the realms charged recklessly into the ranks of the emperors from the 9 heavens and 10 earths, stirring the tempest. You beast! How dare you! Ji Wuxing brandished his flowing sleeves, summoning a cascade of violet bells, from which myriad dragon energies surged forth. This was a quasi-immortal artifact, a treasured heirloom of the Ji clan, capable of manifesting the true dragon's form to suppress all foes upon activation. An emperor from the ancient clan also took action, exhaling a triangular spear that shimmered like the stars, aimed at the colossal ancient dragon. The powerful dragon beast was struck by the fully activated quasi-immortal artifact, its body fracturing with countless fissures, and under the blinding radiance, it erupted violently. Its primordial spirit could not evade Ji Wuxing's violet dragon bell either, vanquished utterly. The warriors from beyond seethed with fury, yet another of their emperors had perished. They glared at the ancient clan emperor, rebuking, "How spineless you are! We are of the same ancient lineage, born of a single epoch. Why must we resort to killing each other? Is it because you have lingered too long in the 9 heavens and 10 earths, losing the pride of our lineage?" A cringing servant. The ancient emperor of the divine ancient Dak felt a profound sense of frustration and inner conflict. When they were born, this realm was not divided into the 9 heavens and 10 earths or the outer universe, but rather a unified community where myriad races coexisted and contended together. It was only after the emergence of the celestial emperor that they were subdued and divided into 19 regions. After their emergence, the cosmic environment had shifted, rendering the paths of old untraceable, thus prompting them to wage war against the myriad races in a bid to seize control. Yet ultimately, they failed, having emerged too early, unable to fully harness their foundational strength, and were compelled to negotiate peace and join this faction in battle. If one were to trace back several million years, he and these cultivators before him would indeed be kin. Damn it, distant relatives are not as good as close neighbors. No matter who you are, you shall perish. The ancient emperor of the divine ancient Dak disregarded all else, letting out a mighty roar and charging forth. The warriors from beyond coldly declared, "Very well. Today, we shall end your treachery. Once we penetrate the 9 heavens and 10 earths, we will eradicate your lineage." 3 warriors from beyond converged, wielding a quasi-immortal artifact. And with a combined strike, they swiftly dispatched the ancient emperor of the divine ancient Dak. With a splatter, the ancient emperor fell, his body dismembered. Divine blood showering the starry skies, scorching hot, and piercing through celestial bodies. On the borderlands, a group of young cultivators from the ancient clan wept bitterly. This was their ancestral protector, who had safeguarded them since the primeval ages, now fallen. The battle raged with unprecedented ferocity, evolving from one-on-one encounters into a fray where many sought opportunities to collectively eliminate their foes. Amidst the intense collisions, an air of intrigue lingered, rife with conspiracies. The scale of this imperial battle is unparalleled in millennia. The realm of Billow Ocean, adjacent to this battlefield, has been profoundly affected, with fissures appearing across mountains and earth, threatening to collapse. Countless beings have been obliterated by mysterious forces, and the aftermath of the imperial conflict has permeated this land. Fortunately, the guardianship of the Heavenly Gate has mitigated the devastation. Otherwise, the 20 or so great emperors could have shattered the Billow Ocean universe into fragments. Before long, 3 years have elapsed. Who could have anticipated that an unrelenting struggle would persist for such a duration? In the heart of the battlefield, every figure is beset by wounds. Their bodies a canvas of scars. The losses in both the 9 heavens and 10 earths, as well as in the outer cosmos, are severe, with 4 or 5 ancient emperors having fallen on each side. Figures such as Jiang Zhengyang and Ji Wuxing have suffered grievous injuries, their limbs shattered, and half of their skulls obliterated. The powerful beings from beyond have also faced dire fates. A colossal bronze battle armor drifts through the cosmos, riddled with holes, glimmering with a chilling metallic sheen. This auxiliary mech, once propelled by cultivators to elevate their strength to the peak of supremacy, now lies in ruins, rendered unusable. Its pilot slain. The blood of the great emperors stains this universe, and the once resplendent stars have dimmed under its influence. The air is thick with the scent of blood, mingled with shattered bones, splattered brain matter, and the remnants of fallen sacred realm cultivators, emanating a foul stench. Deep within the cosmos, a terrifying entity observes the battlefield, nodding in approval. The grand ceremony may commence. Chapter 348. The descent of the divine. Both sides of the conflict have sustained injuries, varying only in severity. The battle has reached a stalemate, with each side probing for the optimal moment to strike. At this juncture, they are not engaged in a battle for sheer enjoyment, but rather to swiftly eliminate the opposing emperor. Boom. A new round of confrontation erupts, unleashing a blinding radiance at the center of the battlefield. The dust from the explosion sweeps across the cosmos. This is a cataclysmic war, imbued with terrifying might. Just as everyone immerses themselves in this renewed clash, a peculiar tremor emanates from the depths of the universe. Boom, boom, boom. The spectators are alarmed, uncertain whether a star domain has exploded or a world has been annihilated. This wave of energy, felt even from the battlefield where the emperors clash, strikes the hearts of the cultivators at the borders like a colossal pillar. The fiercely engaged emperors cease their combat, gazing into the depths of the cosmos. They sense an extraordinarily fearsome wave approaching, and even they, in their might, dare not extend their divine consciousness to probe. The literary emperor at the border squints, as if sensing something, rising from his bamboo chair, ready to face the impending challenge. Crack! A sudden explosive sound shatters this universe, and a massive foot descends from the void, entering the sight of all. The outer emperors panic for a moment, only to realize it is one of their own, easing their apprehension. A deity has arrived. A divine being from our imperial lineage has descended upon this place. Proclaimed a supreme presence. Boom! The cosmic expanse erupted in a series of violent explosions, revealing vast stretches of emptiness, as surging currents roared like a tempest, sweeping across the boundless realms. Suddenly, a colossal figure emerged in the sight of the onlookers. The cultivators at the borders, upon glimpsing the giant, felt their pupils constrict and were rendered speechless, choked by an overwhelming force. This was an expression of sheer terror, for the giant was simply immense. Towering beneath the black heavens, its feet rested upon the shadowy depths, while the colossal star systems that could accommodate countless beings seemed minuscule in comparison to its finger. The magnificent border stretched for billions of miles, appearing as nothing more than a wriggling worm before this titan. The cultivators instinctively took 2 steps back, none daring to gaze directly at this being. A magnificent aura emanated from behind him, spiraling and coiling like a divine dragon. His elongated visage bore no features, save for a singular, immense vertical eye, hollow and profound, as if capable of piercing through the annals of time, evoking a sense of dread. The giant possessed no skin or hair, his entirety composed of pure energy. The absence of flesh was a testament to his formidable might. He was undoubtedly a god. The Emperor Xu Hua exclaimed, recognizing that among all those he knew, only the great Emperor Kunpeng could contend with such a being. Cultivators, upon reaching the mythic realm, could conceive deities within themselves, manifesting divinity to achieve the utmost transcendence, thereby standing shoulder to shoulder with ancient mythic figures and earning the title of god. As this deity appeared, his sole focus was fixed upon the cocoon formed by Ji Xian in the distance, his single eye reflecting the passage of countless eons, as if in deep contemplation. Subsequently, he extended a colossal hand towards Ji Xian. "You dare!" Jiang Zhengyang cried, brandishing his spear in defense. Yet, before he could even touch the deity, the emanating waves of power sent him flying, shattering his imperial weapon in the process. The imperial spear lay in ruins. Staring incredulously at the broken weapon in his hands, forged from celestial gold, he realized the gravity of the situation. Trouble was brewing. Jiang Zhengyang glanced around, realizing that the imperial steed was absent, engaged in a fierce battle with the purple Qilin deep within the cosmos and yet to return. Suddenly, a figure soared through the skies above the border, exuding an air of elegance, with hair and beard as white as snow, adorned in flowing azure robes, radiating a righteous aura that swept through the heavens. The righteous energy coalesced into a massive fist, colliding with the deity's outstretched hand, sending him reeling. Both the extraterrestrial emperors and the myriad races were astonished by the appearance of this venerable elder. A deity had indeed emerged from the realms of heaven and earth. The extraterrestrial powers swallowed hard. The remaining forces marveled, realizing they had gravely underestimated the strength of the realms. The internal strife of ancient and recent times had not diminished their foundational might. Powerful beings still thrived. The emperors of heaven and earth were equally astonished, unable to fathom that the deputy leader of the literary faction was so formidable, also a deity. They couldn't help but speculate. If the deputy leader had ascended to divinity, what might be the prowess of the leader? The realm of ascension? The emperors gasped in astonishment, having been embroiled in their struggles for so long, yet remaining blissfully ignorant of certain truths. Hand that individual over. He is an innate cultivator and valuable to my imperial clan, the extraterrestrial deity declared. His voice resonated loudly, as melodious as the chime of celestial bells, imbued with divinity. The monks immediately recognized it as the voice of the formidable beings from beyond the realm, knocking at the gates. The Emperor of Literature retorted, "Your arrogance knows no bounds. Do you truly believe that our extraordinary emperor would yield to you? Do you consider yourself an omnipotent deity?" Upon finishing his words, the aged figure in azure robes exuded a formidable aura, manifesting a milky white divine form to confront the external deity. The otherworldly god spoke. "You are too old and no match for me. Retreat while you still can, for living this long is no easy feat. Do not throw your life away." The Emperor of Literature shot back, "What audacity! Do you truly believe yourself to be an immortal?" The external being replied, "Who can say for certain? Perhaps I am indeed a deity." The assembled emperors furrowed their brows at this proclamation, sensing an ominous premonition. The Emperor of Literature declared furiously, "Absurd. If I concede today, not only will the one within the cocoon perish, but countless souls in the realm of Bailuo will also be slaughtered. Come, let us battle. It has been too long since I have wielded my hands." The external deity sighed, "Since you seek death so fervently, I shall grant your wish." The tension in the air was palpable, as the clash of the two divine beings would unleash tremendous devastation, with some speculating that even the walls of the heavenly pass might not withstand the force. The emperors withdrew, creating a void in the cosmic battlefield to afford the two combatants ample space. As for the cocoon of Jixian, it was beyond the ability of anyone to lift. Towering at 10 feet, it was as weighty as an ancient divine mountain. "With my divine might, I am invincible." The external deity made the first move, reciting divine scriptures as golden ancient characters soared forth, descending like mountains upon the opponents. This was a transformed imperial script, imbued with divine essence through his utterance, wielding terrifying power. Additionally, a pitch-black jar emerged from his brow, exuding a malevolent aura and propelling the divine writings. The golden ancient characters arranged themselves into a celestial scripture, each word resonating like the tolling of a great bell, its sound profound and somber. Suddenly, blinding golden light illuminated the cosmos, dispelling the darkness of this space. As the laws of myriad realms reverberated in unison, ethereal clouds formed above, while golden lotuses erupted from the earth. The principles of the great way surging like a vast ocean. Although it was a scene of auspiciousness, to the Emperor of Literature, it brimmed with unparalleled murderous intent. The deity had not yet struck. Merely reciting the sacred texts had induced such a phenomenon, instilling both fear and trepidation. "Engaging in literary discourse with me. You are still lacking." The Emperor of Literature revealed a confident smile, stepping forward. Chapter 349. The dark grand right behind the Emperor, the milky white divine form morphed, taking on his visage, unfurling a long silk scroll from which boundless divine scripts flowed forth. Subsequently, the divine form began to recite the scriptures. "The path of humanity is meager, the path of immortality is vast. The lofty and pure is refreshing, while the mournful songs echo through the cosmos. May the path of immortality flourish, and may humanity not falter." The heavens resonated with energy. "My path thrives." Boom. Drawing upon the forces of the Tao, the Emperor of Literature engaged in combat with the external deity. Utilizing the momentum of the Tao, he moved with great fluidity, akin to an awakened ancient sage. Walking barefoot upon an ocean of scriptures, an aura of righteousness enveloped him. This is a formidable imperial force, each strike embodying the purest essence of the heavenly path. The Emperor of Literature is a person of great virtue and respect, nurturing an aura of righteousness that materializes the spirit of scholars into a powerful force, resonating within the profound cosmos. The golden scriptures unleashed by the outer deities were swiftly obliterated, and the miraculous phenomena of auspicious clouds and golden lotuses emerging from the earth were shattered. The Emperor of Literature, who has achieved the pinnacle of enlightenment through his literary prowess, is unparalleled across the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Now, after a million years of silence, he strikes with formidable might, driving the outer deities away from the borders. The cultivators across the realms are filled with a mix of sweat and exhilaration, all hoping for the Emperor to vanquish this divine being and eliminate the great threat. Boom. The towering outer deity staggered back, shaken by the scriptures. The various emperors of the outer realms were left in awe, struck by the formidable power emitted by the Emperor of Literature. Had they faced this elder, they would have been annihilated in an instant. "Suppress." The Emperor bellowed, his white beard and long brows swaying in the wind, exuding an overwhelming authority. In this moment, he resembled an immortal pine, steadfast and dignified, embodying the essence of scholarly spirit without even lifting a brush. The retreating outer deity remained composed, using a black magical jar as a shield to counteract the emperor's power. The emperor quickly recognized this fact. Unless he resolved the issue of the jar, it would be difficult to harm the outer deity. He opened his mouth and expelled a golden brush, using the stars as an inkwell, the divine blood as ink, and the cosmic expanse as his canvas, beginning to inscribe the supreme divine script. On the parchment, the emperor's brush danced like a dragon and a snake, flowing like clouds and water, imbued with a bold spirit. All nations must defend, as the beacons of war rise. The scent of blood and decay filled the air. In an instant, an ancient battlefield materialized before him, with a multitude of troops charging forth, and behind him lay a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. This vision, born from the golden brush, was a manifestation of the emperor's profound understanding. Kill! Roared the army, galloping like 10,000 horses, though it was an illusion. It was no less fierce than a real battle. This overwhelming force approached the black magical jar, causing it to tremble violently. He finally caught. The outer deity said with a sinister tone. What? A sudden chill ran through the emperor's heart, a foreboding feeling washing over him. Crack! Suddenly, the black jar shattered, releasing a black mist that seeped through the cracks, swiftly corroding the emperor's righteous aura. The power of darkness. The emperor immediately recognized this terrifying presence and hurriedly withdrew, retreating. However, darkness possesses the trait of tracing its origins. Once it detects a person's aura, it will consume them, no matter the distance. Strands of black mist rapidly expanded after devouring the emperor's righteous aura, obscuring the starlight above, transforming the once pure energy into a malevolent force. Despicable. The cultivators across the realms were indignant. The outer deity dared not confront the emperor directly, resorting instead to such vile tactics. Retreat, emperor! Jiang Xingyang and the others shouted loudly. They could only watch in silence, too fearful to approach. Even the slightest taint from such a force would lead to eternal regret. It was not merely them. Even a true immortal might struggle to withstand it. This was what the divine referred to as the grand sacrificial rite. And it was astonishing to realize that even the supreme beings beyond the realm of darkness were taken aback. They were aware that the imperial deity possessed certain methods, yet they never anticipated the involvement of dark powers. Ancient texts recorded that our ancestors once allied with the progenitors of the 9 heavens and 10 lands to seal away the darkness. Is there truth to this? One supreme being inquired. Indeed, there is, but do you suppose this deity might sacrifice us as well? A former emperor spoke with trepidation. For reasons unknown. The aura of darkness instilled in him an overwhelming sense of dread. Hush, silence. Another ancient emperor cautioned, gesturing for him to cease his words. At the heart of the universe, Emperor Wen was engulfed by darkness, spiraling into a void of obscurity. The vast sea of characters beneath his feet had transformed into a dark ocean. A strike from a mythic realm cultivator could shatter a portion of the universe. Yet it was swiftly consumed by the encroaching darkness, showcasing the terror of this substance. You despicable creature, it appears you have already bowed low to the dark beings. Do you comprehend the immense sacrifices our ancestors made millions of years ago to conquer the darkness? Though we cultivators may have our conflicts, our ultimate goal remains the path to immortality. Those like you, who yield to darkness and stray from the path of cultivation, deserve to be obliterated by heaven and earth. The encircled emperor Wen bellowed. He summoned a fragment of a celestial artifact, momentarily staving off the invasion of darkness. The divine being from beyond the realm chuckled, proclaiming, "What grandiloquent words! Whether in the past, present, or future, all is inscribed by the victors. You, as a scholar, pride yourself on your noble demeanor, believing you can look down upon us. But what does that truly matter? After today as conflict, you will succumb to darkness and perish, while I, as the victor, shall endure. Thus, does the means by which one survives truly hold significance? You have lived for several hundred millennia. To outsiders, it may seem like an eternity. Yet to the vast cosmos, it is but a fleeting glance, a mere handful of dust. Henceforth, the legends that will echo through this universe will forever belong to me." The words of the foreign deity sent a chill through the hearts of the cultivators from the 9 heavens and 10 lands. They harbored a swell of indignation. It was disheartening to witness a revered figure like Emperor Wen, who dared to sacrifice for the collective, meet such a fate. While that despicable foreign god reveled in the world's splendor, was it worth it? Yet, moments later, a collective sigh arose from the crowd. In this grand era, everyone felt the weight of danger. Although the foreign deity's words were harsh, they were fundamentally accurate. Surviving by any means necessary was what mattered most. This was a resplendent era, yet also an exceedingly filthy one. Old man, let yourself be buried in this frigid cosmos. Ha! The foreign deity laughed heartily. Within the scene, Emperor Wen struggled fiercely, yet the power of darkness was overwhelmingly terrifying, able to corrode even the remnants of the celestial artifact. Observing the pitiful state of Emperor Wen, the foreign deity declared, "Let me be frank. I intend to sacrifice your entire border to secure my own path to immortality, regardless of whether you, the old man who dances with ink, or those impotent emperors, or even the countless beings within the celestial realm. Today, all shall become my bait. By offering your lives and dedicating your blood to the darkness, you shall exchange for the most pristine essence of power. The essence shall permeate the myriad realms, unbound by the limitations of ascension. Ha! Upon uttering these words, a profound dread settled within the hearts of all present. Sacrifice! 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 In that moment, they were collectively reminded of the terror they once endured. Dominated by the darkness, the essence of the great upheaval was the sacrifice of millions of lives, transformed into power for personal cultivation. Are we to witness a repetition of such horrors? How could this be? The ancient emperor of the 9 heavens and 10 earths voiced his dismay. Though sealed for countless millennia, he was undeniably a product of that tumultuous era. It was a dreadful time, a bloody chaos where the strong offered the weak as sacrifices, converting them into pure power to nourish themselves. This was an unfathomable sin, yet one of the swiftest paths to strength. Despair enveloped everyone. With the 9 heavens and 10 earths still embroiled in internal strife, how could they withstand such tribulation? Sensing the overwhelming despair that filled the cosmos, the foreign deity laughed triumphantly. Fear me, perish for my sake. Your sacrifices shall propel me onto the true path of ascension. His enormous eyes swept over the border city, declaring, Come, embrace the darkness, for all shall perish. I shall attain immortality. With a thunderous crash, the divine cocoon at the heart of the chaos erupted. Ji Xian's furious voice resonated from within. Cease your nonsense. Chapter 350. Slaying the Divine amidst the tumultuous tide of darkness. A figure emerged, a man enveloped in a hazy aura of immortality, transcendent and ethereal. Tall and slender, with gaunt cheeks and a visage reminiscent of warm jade. He was shrouded in a rich atmosphere of primordial energy, exuding the breath of renewal. Having devoured the stone spirit Saint Emperor, Ji Xian had undergone a significant transformation, advancing further along the path of primordiality. After 3 years of metamorphosis, he emerged as a butterfly from the cocoon, rapidly elevating his cultivation from the 54th to the 88th realm, now merely 20 realms shy of perfection. Achieving such a feat in less than a century was truly astonishing. Moreover, having completed the elemental spectrum beyond water and fire, he had condensed 3 divine manifestations: earth stone, source wood, and metal. He spread his palm, revealing the 5 elements divine ring, embodying the cycle of creation and destruction, as if capable of nurturing all things or annihilating everything. The foreign emperors were momentarily taken aback. This individual emanated a formidable aura. Could it be that the 9 heavens and 10 earths had birthed another deity? Oh, you are the creature from within the cocoon. Quite impressive. How about this? Having gained my approval, you are worthy in my eyes. Would you consider becoming my attendant? Oh, and do return the primordial essence of the stone spirit Saint Emperor. It holds great value for me, the foreign deity remarked casually, as if already assured of Ji Xian's compliance. Such words incited indignation among the Daoist practitioners at the border. How dare this foreign deity speak with such presumption? To have their revered Xuandi reduced to a mere servant? Naturally, such sentiments were only dared to be expressed within the confines of their own minds. In the heart of the cosmos, Ji Xian declared, How audacious for mere mythical beings to presume I cannot vanquish you. The path of this emperor does not require the validation of others. What are you but an insignificant entity? Extending his hand, the feeble essence of the stone spirit Saint Emperor flickered to life within his palm. He addressed the deity, Since you covet this primordial being so fervently, I shall demonstrate today how I can eliminate it. The stone spirit Saint Emperor trembled, his essence flickering ominously. Was Ji Xian truly intent on extinguishing his life? The emperors beyond the realm cried out in unison, You overestimate your capabilities. The primordial beings have been recognized by the heavens. To slay them recklessly will surely incur divine retribution. Ji Xian retorted, If I am invincible in this world, what have I to fear? The ethereal heavens are merely a refuge for the weak. I have never subscribed to the notion of a higher power. Should anyone stand in my way, I shall obliterate them with a single blow. He stood with an air of defiance, radiant celestial light erupting behind him, his back turned to the multitude, resembling a celestial sovereign descending upon the earth. Not only the cultivators at the city gates, but even the emperors were momentarily entranced. The path of invincibility, the bearing of a heavenly sovereign. Spare me, great emperor. I promise to submit to you and forever produce primordial elixirs for your consumption, pleaded the stone spirit Saint Emperor. The elixir only has a single effect on me. Further consumption brings no benefit. You shall meet your end. Ji Xian's hand, imbued with the essence of the 5 elements, annihilated the stone spirit Saint Emperor's spirit, marking the fall of the only primordial being who had achieved enlightenment beyond the realm. The celestial beings beyond the realm narrowed their eyes, an aura of murderous intent permeating the air. Suddenly, thunderous clouds gathered from the horizon. Crack! Lightning flashed and thunder roared. The divine thunder surging like a tempest, as if a being within the clouds was bellowing in rage. This cannot be. Is the heavens truly descending to punish the Xian Emperor? The cultivators at the borders fervently prayed, hoping to avert disaster for Ji Xian. In the face of what appeared to be divine retribution, Ji Xian remained poised and unperturbed, as a golden dragon seal soared above him. The Emperor's seal. In an instant, the golden figure at his brow and the multicolored figure beneath him aligned, manifesting ancient wonders. The 33 layers of golden heavens gazed down upon the ages, while the resplendent divine mountains loomed in myriad illusions, overwhelming the senses and blurring the lines between reality and illusion. At that moment, Ji Xian was bathed in celestial radiance. Standing beneath the 33 heavens, his feet upon the eternal, verdant mountains, akin to a celestial sovereign gracing the mortal realm. Boom! A bolt of lightning struck down, entirely forged from the laws of the heavenly path. Just as the emperors beyond the realm had proclaimed, the annihilation of primordial beings indeed warranted punishment. A black stone tablet, no taller than a foot, soared from Ji Xian's brow, inscribed with the golden characters of the divine sealing list. Instantly, formidable powers of the heavenly path surged into his being, absorbed by the profound essence within him, racing through his body. Roll! A commanding roar shattered the heavens. Powerful sound waves rippling outward, disintegrating the lightning and causing the dark thunderclouds to collapse entirely. This roar bore the weight of 30% of the heavenly path's power. The divine retribution descending from the heavens was shattered by Ji Xian's roar, leaving all in awe. How astonishing it was! How could anyone withstand the might of the heavens? Though the path of cultivation may seem to defy the heavens, it ultimately unfolds within this realm. Without surpassing one's limits, one cannot truly oppose the divine. The celestial being from beyond the domain was slightly stirred, and its attitude towards Ji Xian shifted, recognizing him as a formidable adversary. In the distance, Ji Xian waved his hand, unleashing the primordial force like a flowing river, directed towards the struggling Emperor One. The turbulent dark sea recoiled as if encountering the most dreadful of substances. Yet, the overwhelming primordial force offered no opportunity for evasion, erasing all in its path. Gasping for breath, Emperor One, a cultivator of the mythical realm, found himself in a state of extreme weakness. The effort to fend off the darkness had drained him entirely. Had Ji Xian arrived a moment later, he might have succumbed to the embrace of the dark deity. Upon witnessing the primordial force capable of annihilating dark beings, the celestial being's heart was unsettled. What manner of power does this man in white possess? Even the dark forces yield to him. It appeared he harbored many secrets. Instead of dread, a fervent desire and greed ignited within the celestial being. I acknowledge your qualification to be my opponent, it declared. Engage me in a battle with all your might. It shall afford you a more dignified demise. Oh no, I shall not allow you to perish. Instead, I will refine you into a precious elixir. From the aura, just now, the being discerned Ji Xian's cultivation at the 100 Shackles realm and felt no fear. In the realm of emperors, the disparities between each level were vast, and the gap between the 100 Shackles realm and the mythical realm was akin to a chasm. No one could kill an opponent across such levels. Ji Xian swiftly stored Emperor One within his sleeve universe and sent him back to the border for safekeeping. Turning to the celestial being, he scoffed, "You? Do not presume yourself worthy of being my rival, since I can shatter the heavenly path with a mere shout. It signifies that I can suppress you in a single strike. A celestial being from beyond? Merely a clucking chicken." As he spoke, a black spear materialized in Ji Xian's grasp, radiating the breath of a black dragon, wielding the power to annihilate the heavens and earth. The celestial being chuckled, maintaining its air of arrogance. It extended a massive hand, infusing it with divine power, reaching for Ji Xian as if swatting a mosquito. Presumptuous, Ji Xian thundered, stepping forward and shattering the void, transforming into a sharp beam of light that surged towards the celestial being. Suppression. The might of the black dragon spear was overwhelming, fully unleashed with the capacity to obliterate the heavens. Ji Xian, versed in the divine scripture of the spear cannon, required no extravagant maneuvers before him. All it took was a single thrust. With a resounding crack, the celestial being's hand shattered, exploding into countless fragments that fell into the abyss of the cosmos. You wretched insect. The celestial being's expression shifted, suddenly aware that Ji Xian's weapon was extraordinary, an exceptional celestial artifact. Astonished, it realized that while the imperial clan from beyond possessed celestial artifacts, none could compare to the spear before it. In a daze, Ji Xian pierced through the celestial being's hand, stepping upon its arm and swiftly closing the distance between them. The celestial being hesitated for a moment. Ji Xian was simply too fast, exceeding its expectations. Was this truly a cultivator of the 100 Shackles realm? In an instant, Ji Xian unleashed his divine manifestation, extending the black dragon spear to infinite length and width, plunging it directly into the eye of the outer god. With a piercing cry, the deity emitted sound waves capable of obliterating stars, collapsing backward in agony. He reached out with his other unscathed hand, attempting to grasp the spear suspended high in the air. You have no chance left. Die! Ji Xian roared, twisting the spear with a fierce grip, causing the immense head of the outer god to explode with a thunderous boom. Chapter 351. The battle concludes. Turmoil to erupt the desolate cosmos was engulfed by the sound of the outer god's head shattering. It was a scene of utter devastation. The explosion of an energy mass far greater than that of a colossal galaxy, triggering a tempestuous storm. In an instant, a colossal energy tempest surged forth like an ocean, sweeping relentlessly in all directions. Everything fell into silence. The blood of the god was searingly hot in some star systems. Planets were evaporated by merely a drop of this blood, resulting in the loss of countless lives beneath its dread. Boom! The powerful storm struck, causing the borders of heaven and earth to tremble violently. The cultivators on the city walls were thrown into disarray, while the weaker among them were obliterated into a mist of blood. Those who attained godhood possessed a power capable of annihilating the universe. The mere explosion of the outer gods had wreaked such terrifying consequences that it instilled fear in all. Roar! The outer god's primordial spirit escaped, howling in defiance. What skill is it to rely on external forces? Have the courage to battle me fairly. Ji Xian shouted back, you shameless being. Having used dark powers to deceive the emperor, now you dare speak of a fair fight? What right do you have? Boom. The outer god's primordial spirit controlled his other arm, lunging toward Ji Xian. Though the spirit was no longer within the body, the strike was still formidable, tearing through the roaring energy in an instant. Let me temper your arrogance and show you the gap between us, Ji Xian declared. His right fist transformed into a spectrum of colors, manifesting 6 colossal whirlpools that ripped through space and time, delivering a devastating blow. Crack! Before the deity's arm could touch Ji Xian, it was shattered by the incoming fist, bursting into countless fragments that crumbled like thunder. The eternal starlight witnessed this grand spectacle, as the god's fist exploded into a mist of blood, blooming like a vibrant nebula. How can you slay a god? The outer god was struck with terror throughout history. He had never seen anyone capable of defying the heavens and slaying foes beyond their rank while in the emperor realm, having ascended to divinity for over 1,000,000 years. Standing atop the 9 heavens and gazing down upon the universe, today he was slain by an emperor of mere 100 Chains realm. Such humiliation. Come here. Ji Xian waved his hand, capturing the flickering flame of the primordial spirit in his palm. Remove your filthy hands. The outer god bellowed. Ji Xian scoffed. You have already become mere flesh in my grasp. Do you dare to be so arrogant? I can command time, and I will cast you into the cycle of reincarnation, destined to become a pig in your next life, sleeping in a pigsty and drinking slop. The primordial spirit flame struggled violently, and it roared. Grant me a swift end, and do not humiliate me. Heh, you have no say in this. Ji Xian replied with a cunning smile. The foreign deity felt a sense of foreboding. Ji Xian truly intended to transform him into a mere swine. With deft movements of his hands, Ji Xian stirred the void, causing ripples to emerge, and a stream of water materialized, flowing with the profound essence of temporal laws. Upon witnessing this current, Zhu Jiuyin leaped into it. For he was a divine beast of time, particularly enamored by such realms. The river of time. The foreign deity's eyes widened in astonishment. Ji Xian seized the deity, intent on casting him into this flow, thereby condemning him to the cycle of livestock reincarnation. A deity must not be humiliated, he sneered. If you wish for my suffering, do not blame me for my wrath. Suddenly, the remnants of the deity, drifting through the cosmos, began to swell, culminating in a resounding explosion. Strangely, there was no violent eruption of energy. Instead, countless seed-like entities emerged, scattering across the vast expanse of the heavens and earth. These seeds bore no trace of malevolence. They emanated a pure, luminous glow, imbued with divine protection that evoked a sense of kinship. What could these be? The prodigies from beyond grasped the seeds that floated towards them, infusing them with their consciousness to investigate further. Secret arts for cultivating the dark laws. Someone exclaimed in astonishment from the crowd. Each seed contained a detailed manuscript of dark rituals, instructing how to revere darkness, offer sacrifices to it, and absorb its essence. This was a malevolent path. Among us, striving in this grand world, how can we ascend through such means? A noble-minded cultivator promptly crushed the seed, disdainful of resorting to such methods for strength. To cultivate the dark laws requires incessant sacrifice of other beings to gain power. Yet this necessitates succumbing to darkness and yielding to its clutches. For all sentient beings, this is an exceedingly cruel affair. The strong wield absolute dominion over the weak, shattering the balance of the world, and the impending calamity would reach its zenith, potentially rending the heavens and earth asunder. Yet, some cultivators silently tucked the manuscripts into their robes, believing that regardless of the means employed to attain strength, the ultimate victor is the one who endures to the end. No matter how resolute one's principles, how moving one's integrity may be, if one ultimately lacks the strength to survive, they may fall prey to others. What merit is there in the steadfastness of one's convictions or morals if it amounts to naught? It is akin to drawing water with a bamboo basket, ultimately futile. The emperors beyond the borders observed all this with keen eyes, lamenting that although the border wars were drawing to a close, a true upheaval was on the horizon. The foreign deity, sacrificing his own being, scattered billions of seeds across the realms, an act that could not be thwarted. Even as emperors, they could not swiftly manipulate the tides of fate to intercept these manuscripts. From a distance, Ji Xian silently observed, refraining from intervention. Possessing some understanding of the heavenly laws, he sensed that even without the border conflict, the self-detonation of the deity would inevitably lead to other factors causing the spread of darkness. No one could halt it. This was a natural law, a manifestation of the cosmic order. The seeds, dancing through the air like dandelions, appeared ethereal and dreamlike. After crushing the remnants of the deity, Ji Xian gazed at the myriad of seeds swirling about, lost in contemplation. If one day I could reverse causality, traverse time and space, and disregard the laws of heaven and earth, what would become of everything? The great forces of the universe traverse the realms, connecting the past, present, and future. An existence beyond anyone's control. Yet, Ji Xian harbors a thought. Is there an exceedingly powerful entity in this world capable of forging causality, creating time, and commanding all? If not, then his path to immortality has acquired yet another objective. Deep within the cosmos, a howling wind blows, scattering all seeds. Beyond the 9 heavens and 10 earths, they are swept in various directions, landing on distant star realms and ancient planets. Perhaps in the not-so-distant future, chaos will erupt from the very places where these seeds take root. We must hurry. The remaining foreign emperors gazed at Ji Xian in the sky, their hearts filled with terror, sweat pouring down their brows. Since we have come, let us remain here forever. Ji Xian, standing for a long while, turned back with a smile, gazing at these supreme beings. His pure smile, however, brimmed with the threat of death. Bang, bang, bang. With a mere flick of his finger, the heads of 5 or 6 foreign emperors exploded, shattering like rotten watermelons, divine blood gushing forth, brain matter splattering. Among them were several formidable beings of the supreme realm. Yet they could not withstand the might of Ji Xian's finger. Swish! From the depths of the universe, a beam of golden light shot forth, descending like a meteor. The Emperor Rider manifested, his golden armor stained with blood, his long spear adorned with shredded flesh and broken bones. He clutched the head of the purple flame Qilin. Panting heavily, is it all over? The Emperor Rider gazed in bewilderment at the scene before him. It had been so lively upon his departure. Yet how desolate it seemed upon his return. Suddenly, he spotted Ji Xian wielding the long spear in the cosmos and understood everything. Master, I am sorry for arriving late. The Emperor Rider soared to Ji Xian's side and knelt before him. Ji Xian smiled gently, reaching out to wipe the blood from his helmet, saying, it's all right. It is all over now. Let us return. Chapter 352. Return and heartfelt exchange with Emperor. When beyond the frontier, the emperors gathered together, tending to their injuries. Are you all well? Ji Xian descended from the center of the universe, approaching the group. It is all thanks to our friend Ji. Jiang Xingyang staggered forward. His left half of the head was completely shattered, a broken spear jutting from his body, an immortal aura flowing forth. You are gravely injured, Ji Xian remarked in astonishment, extending his hand to release a radiant green light that enveloped Jiang Xingyang. The green glow brimmed with vibrant vitality, instantly healing his wounds. Only the hidden internal injuries were left unaddressed, requiring the wounded cultivator to mend them on their own. Sigh, I have ultimately grown old. Had I been younger, this battle would have been much easier. The strength of an emperor in youth and that of an aged one are 2 entirely different levels of combat prowess. Even they cannot escape the ravages of time. The other wounded also lamented their frailty, recognizing the toll their age took against the younger emperors from beyond. Although they gained some advantage through their battle experience, it came at the cost of nearly half their lives. Ji Xian was generous, treating each one of them without hesitation, including the emperors of the ancient clans who also benefited from his kindness. In his eyes, there is no distinction between the human race, myriad clans, or ancient tribes. Those who are willing to cooperate are friends, while those in opposition are foes. Moreover, the ancient tribes of the divine ancient Dak played a significant role in this battle, with nearly half of the arriving ancient emperors perishing and the rest gravely injured and on the brink of death. Such earnestness deserves the healing received. Thank you, my friend, murmured the ancient emperor of Celestial Gold, feeling somewhat bashful, having previously spoken boastfully at the peace conference in the White Deer Academy, harboring certain thoughts about Ji Xian, only to find himself now indebted to Ji Xian's great kindness. It is no trouble. It is what I ought to do, Ji Xian replied with a smile. Friend Ji, what of my healing elixir? Came the voice of Emperor Shuhua from behind. Ji Xian turned to see the old man standing mysteriously behind him, rubbing his hands together as if eagerly anticipating something. You old rascal, you are not even injured. Ji Xian scrutinized him with some dissatisfaction. Upon hearing this, Emperor Shuhua quickly coughed twice, feigning a sickly demeanor. He claimed, cough cough, that the old man suffers from internal injuries and, if not treated promptly, might soon find himself incapacitated. The other emperors, witnessing Shuhua's insufferable act, could hardly restrain themselves from wanting to strike him. To hell with you. Ji Xian, fulfilling their wishes, delivered a kick that sent Emperor Shuhua flying. With a thunderous sound, Emperor Shuhua was propelled backward, embedding himself in the surface of an ancient star, unable to extricate himself. After confirming the injuries of several individuals, Ji Xian soared towards the city gate with them. At the city gate, All eyes were fixed upon Ji Xian in the sky, resembling a sun rising in the dark era, illuminating the heavenly gate. Xian Emperor, shouted an old soldier who had survived the battlefield, shedding tears and blood beyond the pass. Grateful to this emperor for ensuring his safe return, Xian Emperor. Among the returning troops, soldiers continually called out Ji Xian's imperial title, which soon ignited a chorus of cheers as people wept and celebrated in overwhelming excitement. Having subdued countless enemies, like a celestial emperor descending upon the world. This battle waged for several years, with innumerable soldiers emerging from the gates to fight, yet few returned. All had been buried in the vast desert beyond the pass. The desert was ravaged by the emperors, leaving the unfortunate soldiers without even a patch of ground to rest their bones. Master, as soon as Ji Xian landed, several disciples rushed over, bombarding him with questions. The storm of the imperial battle had been too fierce, with dazzling lights and divine radiance blocking all sight. Thus, they had been unable to witness Ji Xian's confrontation with the divine beings. Now that Ji Xian had returned safely, their excitement was palpable. It is all over. Ji Xian reassured them. Elder Ji Mingho approached alongside Ji Yuanzhou. The two had not been enlisted in the army, and thus had not participated in the battle. The sword body of the void path? Upon seeing Ji Mingho walking towards him, Ling Yun was slightly taken aback. This represented a powerful sword physique, which he regarded as second only to his own royal physique. I have encountered a fellow brother of the Tao, Ji Mingho said with a bow to the tall figure before him. Go and see the literary emperor. Ji Xian gestured and departed from the city wall. Within a quaint, ancient-style courtyard in the city, the literary emperor reclined on a chair woven from green wood, cultivating to adjust his body. My friend, you have arrived, he spoke. The young attendant, fanning on either side, wore a look of bewilderment. To whom was the old man speaking? Suddenly, the void was torn apart as Ji Xian stepped forth. With a smile, he remarked, such keen perception. It seems your recovery is progressing well. The emperor waved his hand, signaling the attendant to withdraw. He continued with a smile. It is indeed thanks to your timely intervention, dear friend. Had the dark matter tainted me, there would have been no more emperor, only a dark creature consumed by slaughter. Alas, the hero's twilight. The words of the otherworldly deity ring true. I am far too old, having failed to react to such insidious schemes. Ji Xian reassured him. Anyone in your position would have reacted similarly. It is merely that you did not anticipate someone would plunge into darkness. The emperor nodded, his eyes gently closing, lost in contemplation. His body remained frail, his lips devoid of color, and a faint aura of death flickered across his cheeks. After a moment, he opened his eyes and spoke. I witnessed the scene of the divine seeds scattering at the borders. The otherworldly deity, at the cost of its eternal form, spread countless divine seeds across the heavens and the earth. Such a nefarious plot to cultivate the dark principles. I, the former Emperor Xianyuan, and the White Tiger Sword Emperor, have sacrificed our lives to suppress darkness, only to see years of peace on the verge of upheaval. No one can guarantee immunity from the allure of such immense power. I am powerless against the secretive practices of cultivators. In this grand age, everyone lives in fear. Even amidst significant battles at the borders, there are those with ill intentions. Perhaps you are right. The Imperial Alliance, a remnant of ancient times, is indeed outdated, with no reason to persist. This realm craves not balance, but turmoil, greater upheaval, and the emergence of a unifying force. At this juncture, the emperor fixed his gaze intently on Ji Xian. My friend, over the years, the Tao sect has expanded endlessly. I understand your intentions. The ancient celestial court. Are you yearning for an organization that unifies the heavens and the earth? Indeed. Only by reviving the glory of the ancient celestial court and the heavenly sword palace can we intimidate those with malevolent hearts. The heavens and the earth require an emperor. It cannot be anyone else. Go forth boldly. You have saved my life, and I shall support you unwaveringly. In a small courtyard, an elderly man and a young one sat facing each other. Ji Xian pondered for a long while before replying. Very well. The emperor had already conveyed his intentions. Should the heavenly court be established, it would undoubtedly stand by his side. A more tumultuous age than this awaits, wherein balance is no longer needed. In a time of chaos, absolute martial power is essential. The Confucian sect, a simple name, Ji Xian chuckled. This was the doctrine under the emperor. With a heritage spanning nearly 10 million years, the two engaged in further discussion. And the emperor promised to strive to unite other factions in alliance with Ji Xian's Tao sect. Ji Xian administered a life-giving divine fruit to the emperor. And after 3 days, his condition improved. He no longer appeared sickly, and a hint of vitality returned to his face. You have been a great contributor. A feast shall be held in your honor. Please wait. I will inform you once arrangements are made. Emperor Wen rose and gently patted Ji Xian on the shoulder. Within their abode, Ji Xian sat cross-legged in a miniature world, near the cascading mountain spring, immersing himself in the natural principles of the universe. His recent journey to the border yielded significant gains. Not only did his cultivation advance rapidly, but he also took a further step on the path of innate enlightenment. Additionally, he harnessed the true essence of the stone spirit Holy Emperor to cultivate Three Fashang, mastering the powers of the five elements. With a wave of his hand, the golden Tai Chi circle materialized before him. Above, alongside the true meanings of yin and yang and the six realms of reincarnation, the powers of the five elements also gathered. After thousands of years on the path of cultivation, Ji Xian had achieved a remarkable balance in his practice. Intertwining life and death, yin and yang, time and space, dominance and subtlety, the Tai Chi of the five elements, and the chaos of creation. In a moment of clarity, a road appeared before Ji Xian. Life and death, yin and yang, though opposing forces, also evolved into one another. As the saying goes, to embrace yin is to guard yang, and to embrace yang is to return to yin. These two principles interact to give rise to all things in the world. The path of creation belongs to me alone, Ji Xian mused, sensing an unseen force guiding him onward. When he first condensed his imperial might, he forged his own path, defying the heavens and transcending the confines of the universe. Now, on the verge of breaking through to the mythical realm and becoming a deity, he felt the need to ascend the divine platform and cultivate his own divine essence within. Yet, he found it premature to pursue this ambition. At the very least, he resolved to wait until he attained a comprehensive understanding of the worldly path. Initially, he had seized the opportunity to attain immortality, determined to tread the path of worldly existence. However, he had yet to enter the world, lacking the necessary insights, despite possessing formidable magical powers. Any creations born from him would inevitably be flawed. If he were to advance, it must be along a path of perfection, leaving no room for regret. In the subsequent period, he withdrew into silence, dedicating himself to consolidating his gains. The profundity of the five elemental powers demanded tranquility for solidification and contemplation. Within his miniature world, Ji Xian sat with the stillness of a boulder beneath the waterfall, allowing the rushing waters to wash over him, a testament to his unwavering focus. Before long, 3 years passed. In the grand confines of the Celestial Gate, this span of time, though merely a fleeting moment for a saintly realm cultivator, brought about monumental changes. Throughout these 3 years, powerful figures arrived at the border to offer their support. The defense battles had been harrowing, nearly depleting the ranks of soldiers within the Celestial Gate. Various formidable beings had witnessed the terrifying prowess of the extraterrestrial invaders and dispatched their own disciples to join the defending forces, ensuring that the invaders would not return to wreak further havoc. Moreover, conflicts and tensions within the city escalated. Many outsiders banded together in the bustling urban areas, engaging in disputes for reasons that were often bizarre and inexplicable. However, those with keen intuition noticed that this group tended to incite disturbances in crowded areas, with each altercation resulting in significant collateral damage. Speculation arose that these individuals were secretly practicing a forbidden dark technique, attempting to sacrifice living beings in exchange for power. Indeed, every full moon, cultivators defied the heavens to undergo tribulations, and the resulting lightning strikes were peculiarly ominous, emanating a chilling force. This was not an isolated incident, but rather a widespread phenomenon. The human heart is the most intricate of enigmas. Despite having recently endured a perilous crisis, the celestial realm finds itself at a critical juncture, where darkness is once again sowed, ready to stir chaos and incite internal strife. The emperors, seated high in the heavens, are greatly troubled by this turmoil within the protective city of Tianguan. Should this unrest give rise to a wave of dark insurrection, it would indeed be a source of considerable distress. Nevertheless, let them contend amongst themselves. Their ascent will ultimately be constrained. As long as no beings of imperial caliber emerge from the shadows, they may act as they wish. This is beyond our control. The emperors should focus their vigilance on the foreign realms, Wu Di advised. The others acquiesced, recognizing that the forces of heaven and earth are beyond anyone's ability to thwart. In the 5th year, a significant upheaval erupted within the city, led by several major sacred sites of the Northern Dipper, allied with other factions opposed to the Dao sect. They launched a fierce assault against Ling Yun and his companions. The battle that ensued even drew the attention of the emperors. Ling Yun and Shi Tianyu combined their strengths to wield imperial weapons, resulting in the destruction of an entire district. The tumultuous waves of the ocean conjured by the yin-yang sword surged forth, while the dragon energy unleashed by the Fang Tian painting halberd wreaked havoc, slaying thousands. Observers remarked that it was a battle devoid of suspense, purely one of overwhelming dominance. The Northern Dipper forces dispatched nearly 10 quasi-emperors, dozens of great saints, and hundreds of holy lords, yet they were utterly crushed by the 2 imperial weapons, leaving not a trace behind. Ultimately, a Northern Dipper emperor emerged, albeit only in the form of a Dao incarnation, yet his presence sent ripples of shock throughout the city. The emperor himself took action to eliminate a great saint, shattering the perceptions of all present. The emperor's cavalry swiftly intervened, wielding a golden spear to strike down the emperor's Dao form, thereby safeguarding several individuals. Following the incident, he reported the matter to Ji Xian. Last time it was the emperor of Kaiyang, and now it's the emperor of Yuing. Such a remarkable saint body is worth your demise? Initially, I intended to prioritize the killer divine dynasty, But seeing how recklessly you Northern Dipper forces act, I will begin with your 6, Ji Xian declared, his eyes brimming with murderous intent. In his mind, a grand blueprint was already unfurling, meticulously sequencing the targets for obliteration. The Killer Divine Dynasty harbored a deep-seated hatred for him, eager to eliminate him, while the Northern Dipper forces also bore animosity towards him. Upon my return, none shall escape. In the 8th year, Ji Xian emerged from his seclusion. That same year, the emperor sent a youth to invite him to a banquet. To Ji Xian, this triumphant feast felt rather perplexing. With one war at the borders still unresolved, another uprising had already commenced. It seemed premature to celebrate victory. Yet, as it was the emperor's sincere gesture, he felt compelled to accept. Within the city, Ji Xian appeared on the streets, where ruins lay scattered, broken walls and shattered bricks littered the once thriving district. Now a desolate battlefield where Ling Yun and the Northern Dipper practitioners had clashed, reduced to a pitiful state. Master. From a distance, Ling Yun spotted Ji Xian and hurriedly approached to greet him. Master, I have received troubling news regarding the Northern Dipper practitioner's sea of consciousness, Ling Yun said. What is it? Ji Xian inquired. Including Bei Dushan, the Killer Dynasty and various forces hostile to the Sword King body have united to launch a total offensive against the Dao sect, aiming to obliterate our Dao lineage. Furthermore, it is likely that some uninvited guests will attend the banquet set by the One Emperor, as Bei Dushan intends to disrupt your triumphant feast under the guise of constructing walls. Ling Yun, with a despondent expression, voiced his concerns, although he believed in Ji Xian's invincibility. The scale of the impending conflict was immense, with at least 20 major eternal sacred grounds involved, which troubled him. Ji Xian patted his shoulder confidently, assuring him, do not worry, even if this is not the Dao sect, my word prevails here. Should they dare to come, let them remain here forever. Chapter 354. Visitors from Beidou in the majestic hall of Tianguan, emperors gathered, hosting a grand banquet to celebrate the victory of this battle. The hall soared into the clouds, surrounded not by boundless blue skies, but by a sea of stars. It stood like a radiant pearl amidst the cosmic expanse, dazzling and enchanting. Within, Ji Xian and the One Emperor sat at the highest point, while the multitude of heroes faced one another on either side. When the ceremonial bell rang, a group of elegantly dressed dancers emerged, their slender waists twisting and swaying gracefully like ethereal fairies in flight. The emperors raised their cups in a toast, expressing their respect for Ji Xian. After exchanging pleasantries, they began to deliberate on serious matters. The forces led by the ancient royal family and the ancient Fire Emperor expressed their willingness to ally with the Dao sect, committing to share both fortune and adversity should great turmoil arise in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Ji Xian's performance at the border had been nothing short of spectacular. Single-handedly, he had turned the tide, slaying foreign deities and reclaiming a victory for the realm. The ambition for strength is a common sentiment, even among the most illustrious emperors. Nonetheless, a faction of ancient emperors remained unmoved. The guests at this grand banquet were not all allies of the Dao sect. Some stood neutral, while others harbored animosity, attending merely to honor the One Emperor. Despite this, they refrained from antagonizing Ji Xian, for his current prestige was overwhelming, having just secured a victory. He was revered by the populace, and any actions against him would only serve to corner themselves and their own factions. I am Wang Hui, and I thank you for your assistance, fellow Daoist. An elderly man clad in a brocade robe raised his cup to Ji Xian. He was an ancestor of the ancient royal family, a formidable figure among humanity. In the recent battle, he had been cleaved in two by a foreign powerhouse. But Ji Xian's timely intervention in confronting the divine being had emitted a residual might that repelled their aggressors, granting him a chance to survive. Before Ji Xian could respond, Emperor Shuhua took it upon himself to speak on Ji Xian's behalf. This old fellow, dressed in loose robes, had a ruddy face and disheveled hair, resembling a madman. Mind your appearance, Jiang Xingyang reprimanded. Emperor Shuhua waved his hand dismissively. There are no juniors present. Why put on airs of an emperor? What of it? Is an emperor not human? Are you, Jiang Xingyang, not born of a mother? His face bore a mischievous grin, leaving one to wonder if he was inebriated or merely acting the fool. Humph. Jiang Xingyang let out a cold snort, disregarding the old rogue entirely. After a brief moment of clamor, the Emperor Shuhua regained his senses. He waved his hand, creating a small barrier that separated the surrounding space from the raucous banquet. The ancient celestial realm is about to be unveiled. Esteemed friends, please be mindful of the time. I, Shuhua, stand on the side of humanity and will extend invitations to a select few, declared the Emperor. Jiang Xingyang retorted, is that true? Don't lead us astray. Who knows if you, an old madman, are just spouting nonsense. With utmost seriousness, Emperor Shuhua replied, it is indeed true. The venerable ancestor of the white deer has personally informed me. The barrier surrounding the chaotic region grew increasingly lax, signaling that the emergence of the celestial realm was imminent. Of course, I cannot guarantee a specific date. It could be tomorrow, or it might take another 1 or 2 millennia. This announcement is merely to allow everyone to prepare in advance. Upon hearing this, several powerful figures of humanity displayed expressions of astonishment. The celestial realm is known to harbor divine treasures, akin to a natural vault, a fact recognized throughout history. However, the location is shrouded in mystery, with its emergence time being highly unstable and its interior fraught with peril. The true nature of this place remains largely unknown. Seated above, Ji Xian listened intently, gently swirling the bronze goblet in his hand, deep in thought. At present, he had two potential entrances to the celestial realm, one located to the north of the Northern Sea, and the other at the White Deer Academy. Entry would depend on the circumstances at that time. The banquet proceeded in an orderly fashion, lasting nearly a year. During this time, numerous powerful individuals came and went, bringing with them a wealth of news. Inside the grand hall, revelry reigned, while outside, tumult brewed. The victories at the borders did not bring peace to the heavens. Clashes and conflicts escalated. The bodies of deities exploded, scattering millions of seeds of darkness across the realms, luring many cultivators into the depths of darkness. Straying from the righteous path, a cataclysm heralding the beginning of darkness erupted, ensnaring countless cultivators in its vortex, making escape impossible. Furthermore, news of the celestial realm spread throughout the world. It was not only Emperor Shuhua who was aware, but other prominent figures also sensed the unfolding events. In a flurry, various major sects sought to invest their resources in locating the entrance to the celestial realm, hoping to partake in its eventual emergence. Ji Xian also received intelligence from the Dao sect, the Heavenly Sword Pavilion, and the Reincarnation Celestial Palace. Recently, many ill-intentioned cultivators had indeed been loitering beneath the mountain gates, scrutinizing several factions. Zhu Jiuyin, the Valkyrie, and the River God were among the first to take action, driving away and hunting down those approaching cultivators. Maintaining the inviolable dignity of the Dao sect, they anticipated a grand conspiracy brewing against the Dao sect, foreseeing that the days ahead might not be tranquil. In the second year of the banquet, the Emperor of the Big Dipper arrived. The Emperor of Tianquan, one of the 7 emperors of the Big Dipper, was an unparalleled being, standing on the threshold of the Hundred Chains realm, ruling over a territory where none dared to challenge him. Following closely behind him was an imperial-grade puppet, towering and imposing, radiating a chilling metallic sheen, its eyes resembling immense golden lanterns that instilled fear. This was a formidable war machine. Once activated, it could unleash the full combat prowess of the Emperor. In such a grand occasion, the presence of Tianquan, wielding military weaponry, has stirred discontent among many formidable individuals in attendance. Yet, he ambles into the hall with an air of nonchalance. Having met Emperor One of the Han, the great Emperor Tianquan respectfully salutes him, maintaining a courteous demeanor even in the presence of such a venerable figure. However, he disregards Ji Xian, who sits beside Emperor One, treating him as if he were invisible. This blatant slight incites indignation among Jiang Xingyang and his companions, for Ji Xian is a distinguished contributor to the impending battle. Yet he is brazenly overlooked by the great Emperor Tianquan. It is difficult for them to believe that such an affront was unintentional. What do you intend to do, Shuhua? Jiang Xingyang exclaimed, seizing the sword-wielding Shuhua Emperor. Clutching an imperial weapon, Shuhua's face flushed with anger as he cursed. What utter rubbish from Beidou. Does he look down upon us? To scorn Ji Xian is to scorn the Baishu Academy. As he spoke, a formidable aura radiated outward, roaring like a primordial beast, causing the stars that encircled the hall to tremble violently. At this moment, the seemingly eccentric elder exuded the presence of an emperor. Though intoxicated, he appeared inebriated. Yet the discerning knew that emperors do not succumb to drunkenness. He was merely avenging Ji Xian. Across from him, the great Emperor Tianquan smiled, sipping his drink, while engaging in conversation with the emperor beside him, seemingly unfazed by Shuhua's outburst. The atmosphere within the hall grew tense. The cultivators standing beside Ji Xian cast furious glares at the great Emperor Tianquan, condemning his intentions. Meanwhile, those adopting a neutral stance, harboring antagonism towards the Dao sect, sat quietly, observing the unfolding situation, clearly relishing the drama. They were eager for chaos to ensue. The great Emperor Tianquan adeptly seized upon the sentiments of the assembly, seeking to sow discord within this festive gathering. After a prolonged silence, an emperor finally spoke, attempting to ease the tension. Tianquan, what brings you here? Inquired the scholar-like Wanru Guhuang. Setting down his goblet, the great Emperor Tianquan smacked his lips, replying, Ah, my esteemed Dao brother. It is evident you are a youthful emperor, rather inexperienced. Are you not aware of the significance of Beidou at the border? Wanru Guhuang frowned slightly, his displeasure evident. The great Emperor Tianquan's demeanor was rather brusque. In contrast to venerable figures like Emperor One and Shui Huang, his experience was indeed minimal. Out of courtesy, he refrained from expressing anger and gestured for Tianquan to continue. The great Emperor Tianquan continued, the star bricks used in constructing the heavenly pass originate entirely from Beidou. Located amidst the starry seas, each celestial body is imbued with ethereal essence, exceedingly durable, making it prime material for fortification and weaponry. When Emperor Xianyuan delineated the 9 heavens and 10 earths and erected the border fortifications, it was precisely stones from Beidou that were utilized. As the recent border conflict has damaged the walls, we must rely on the star bricks that are a specialty of Beidou. Indeed, without Beidou, there would be no border. At this point, he smugly stroked his beard, his nostrils flaring with pride. Jiang Xingyang and others could not help but feel anger during this border conflict. The Northern Dipper had not sent a single soldier, yet they dared to utter such absurdities. The other emperors nodded in agreement, discussing among themselves that what the Emperor of Tianquan stated was indeed a fact. The formidable nature of the Heavenly Pass was evident to all. Even the self-detonation of deities could not bring it to ruin. It was said to withstand the pressure of immortals, though this might sound exaggerated. No one could refute that it was the foremost pass throughout history. As he listened to the praises from the surrounding emperors, the Emperor of Tianquan wore a beaming smile. Occasionally glancing at Ji Xian, who sat high above, he mused to himself. It was he who had slain the Emperor of Tianxian, the Star General, and the Star Spirit Emperor, destroying my Northern Dipper's foundation and establishing the Immortal Palace to obstruct my expansion. This time, I shall settle both old and new scores. His intent in coming here was to disrupt this victory banquet and dampen Ji Xian's exuberance. Furthermore, a great upheaval was imminent, and the Northern Dipper was about to mobilize its troops. His presence here also served to test Ji Xian. The Heavenly Pass held immense significance for the realms of the 9 heavens and 10 lands, and relying on it, he believed no one would dare to challenge him. After all, the Emperor Wen was a rational individual who would not make foolish decisions that could jeopardize the overall balance of the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Oh, the city gate, it truly is a valuable bargaining chip. Fortunately, this war has provided the Northern Dipper with an opportunity to rise. The Emperor of Tianquan spoke softly. For the cultivators outside, the border conflict had resulted in heavy losses, a veritable catastrophe. Yet, the Emperor of Tianquan viewed it as a chance to negotiate terms with Emperor Wen, feeling no guilt about the lack of military action. After a prolonged silence, Ji Wuxing finally spoke. What you say, dear friend Tianquan, is indeed accurate. I am of the Ji lineage, and there are indeed abundant records within my clan. Back in the day, the Northern Dipper played a significant role in the construction of the city, safeguarding the common folk for countless years. It can be said to have greatly benefited the region. I have heard that the starry bricks are supreme materials capable of withstanding the pressures of the immortal path, which is truly awe-inspiring. With such treasures, our 9 heavens and 10 lands shall remain unscathed. That is only natural, replied the Emperor of Tianquan. With the affirmation from the Ji clan, he felt even more elated. After all, this was a direct descendant of Xian Yuan, and with his endorsement, he believed no one would dare to speak against it. A barely perceptible smile appeared on Ji Wuxing's lips, but then he shifted the conversation, saying, alas, what a pity that rumors are ultimately false. The aftershocks from the explosion of a mythic realm emperor's head have already shaken the city gates, causing damage. If a celestial being were to attack, wouldn't they simply need to exhale to obliterate the border? Not to mention the immortals. Brother Tianquan, you are not being honest. Upon hearing this, the smile of the Emperor of Tianquan froze. He looked around and indeed found a group of people regarding him with peculiar expressions. Clearing his throat, the Emperor of Tianquan coughed lightly and said, Brother Ji, you err in your words. Millions of years have passed since the first construction of the city. In such an expanse of time, with the cycles of the sun and moon, the rise and fall of mountains and rivers, and the succession of heroes, countless events could have transpired. After such a lengthy period, even a mighty emperor would age and perish, let alone an inanimate object like the starry bricks. The inevitable decay of time has come to pass, and I have journeyed here for the sake of the borderlands. Upon finishing his words, he tore through the void and extracted a star from its depths. This was a celestial body, radiating an intense and blinding light, immense in size, yet manipulated effortlessly between the fingers of the great Emperor of Tianquan. Ha ha ha, splendid, truly splendid, Ji Wuxing exclaimed with glee. The great Emperor of Tianquan, bewildered, suddenly felt an ominous premonition wash over him. Under the scrutinizing gaze of Tianquan, Ji Wuxing drew forth a spear enveloped in starlight from the void. Instantly, a terrifying aura of celestial might spread throughout the hall, causing the knees of the emperors present, save for the human faction, to buckle to the ground in a half-kneeling posture. The star held in the great emperor's grasp had yet to solidify when it was shattered into dust by the overwhelming celestial pressure, unleashing a torrent of fiery waves that engulfed the entire chamber. The ancient fire emperor inhaled deeply, consuming the vast flames into his being, only to release a belch as he digested the energy birthed from the stellar explosion. A celestial artifact. One of the emperors could not help but exclaim. Is this the legacy of the ancient clan? Such profound depth. You dare to ensnare me. The great Emperor of Tianquan seethed, his hair standing on end in fury. It was a blatant slap to the face. He had sought to elevate the status of the Northern Dipper, only to have Ji Wuxing douse his ambitions with cold water. Seizing the opportunity, Emperor Shuhua interjected with a mocking tone. Oh dear, is this the so-called star brick that can withstand celestial might? The mere apparition of a celestial artifact in Wuxing's hand cannot bear such a light pressure. It appears that the Northern Dipper is indeed quite useless. Not only do they refrain from engaging in battle during a critical moment, but they also shamelessly attempt to claim credit for themselves. If you ask me, You Northern Dipper are less than a single hair of the Dao sect, let alone Ji Xian's slaying of deities and suppression of darkness. The mere accomplishments of the Dao sect disciples, who have vanquished numerous extraordinary beings from beyond the realms, far surpass your Northern Dipper. The banquet of triumph clearly did not extend an invitation to your Northern Dipper, yet you come here, shamelessly seeking to partake in the feast, bringing disgrace upon yourselves. The emperors of the Northern Dipper, including yourself, have lived far too long. With a flourish of words, Emperor Shu Hua disparaged the great emperor of Tianquan, casting him into the muck with nothing but his tongue. You, Shu Hua, old fool, you truly are tired of living. Upon witnessing Shu Hua's open disdain, the great emperor of Tianquan shattered the wine cup in his hand, rising to his feet as he bellowed, "You dare to criticize the Northern Dipper? Have you handled this war with any measure of competence? Why did you not eradicate that foreign deity completely, instead granting him the opportunity to self-destruct and sow the seeds of dark sorcery across the heavens and the earth? In my view, this was a fundamentally flawed war. Even if you emerge victorious in the end, what of it? The dark turmoil will arrive prematurely due to your misguided decisions. If a hidden powerhouse from the Northern Dipper had intervened, they could have discreetly eliminated that wretched deity, unlike your impotent selves who leave behind a mess." He stood atop the moral high ground, critiquing the failures of the war, as if he had not lifted a finger, yet declaring himself the master of this conflict. The very center of this grand feast, Jiang Zhenyang and the others abruptly stood up, their expressions fierce and murderous, akin to ancient beasts awakening, fixating their lethal gazes upon the great emperor of Tianquan. In their eyes, the sovereign of the celestial realm was reproaching them all. Despite their numerous efforts and tremendous sacrifices, they found themselves dismissed by this individual, a situation intolerable to any. The sovereign of the celestial realm clearly recognized the gravity of the matter, awakening to the reality in an instant. He gazed at the few individuals before him and inquired, "My friends, what is the meaning of this? Do you intend to lay hands on me in such a setting?" Jiang Zhenyang and the others remained silent. This banquet had been arranged for a singular purpose, and they were merely companions. They awaited but a single word, a response. The solitary figure of Ji Xian, seated aloft, shifted the wine jug aside and struck his cup against the metallic table with a resounding clang. In that moment, a murderous intent enveloped the entire hall. He cast a glance at the sovereign of the celestial realm and uttered a single word, "Kill." Chapter 356, United in Attack Kill. A word, cold and merciless, imbued with supreme authority. In a daze, the sovereign of the celestial realm felt an oppressive weight upon his chest, akin to a mountain pressing down, making it difficult to breathe. That solitary utterance heralded the arrival of death, plunging him into despair. With a sudden explosion, the table before Jiang Zhenyang and his companions shattered, as they wielded imperial weapons, surging forth like a tidal wave towards the sovereign of the celestial realm. "You dare to strike against me? I am a guest of the Big Dipper. This city cannot do without me." The sovereign's expression was one of horror. He had never anticipated such an occurrence at a banquet presided over by the Emperor of Culture. "To hell with you, you insignificant wretch," Jiang Zhenyang exclaimed, rarely resorting to profanity, as he brandished his spear and struck downward. No, his attack was not merely a slash, it was a forceful swing of the spear. In terms of ferocity, Ji Wuxing and the others were equally formidable, unleashing their lethal moves upon the sovereign of the celestial realm. Boom! Before their powers could fully manifest, the entire hall erupted in a cataclysmic explosion, with 6 or 7 emperors unleashing their devastating strikes, capable of obliterating numerous star domains. The ancient celestial palace crumbled like paper, reduced to dust by the onslaught of blades and light. Die! They struck simultaneously, their fierce cries resonating, as their violent force surged like a deluge, shattering the starry sea and igniting the heavens above. The sovereign of the celestial realm, paralyzed by Ji Xian's word of death, found his limbs sluggish and unresponsive. Before he could conjure a counterattack, he was sent flying by the oncoming shockwave. The sovereign was propelled backward, piercing through several large stars, yet he did not cease. The war machine beside him disintegrated into fragments in an instant. His body was battered, resembling a marionette, with veins and bones exposed, desperately trying to hold itself together. "Don't let him escape," a voice cried out, and the human emperors surged forward, not granting the sovereign a moment to recuperate, launching a relentless barrage of kicks and blows. "Shut your mouth," Jiang Zhenyang shouted again, thrusting the spear's tip into the sovereign's groin. A wretched scream escaped, and the sovereign promptly lost consciousness. Ji Wuxing and the others were equally enraged, having lost so many of their kin, yet the sovereign had belittled them to nothingness. Beat him to a pulp. Upon a grand celestial body, several mighty emperors formed a circle, encircling the great emperor of heavenly authority. With each kick and punch, they unleashed their pent-up fury. Particularly, the emperor of Shu Hua, producing a chamber pot from an unknown origin, claimed it to be a relic used by ancient immortals, possessing lethal potency against foes. The other emperors wrinkled their brows at the pungent odor, increasingly sensing something amiss. "For heaven's sake, Shu Hua, did you really bring your own chamber pot?" scolded Jiang Zhenyang, covering his nose. The emperor of Shu Hua paused, bringing the pot closer to his own nose. His face contorting in disgust as he nearly expelled the wine he had consumed at the banquet. My apologies, I seem to have grabbed the wrong one. He chuckled, before extracting an old jar to continue his relentless assault on the great Emperor of Heavenly Authority. With a resounding thud, the head of the great Emperor of Heavenly Authority was crushed beneath Ji Wuxing's foot, his primordial spirit laid bare before the assembly. Do not spare the primordial spirit. Strike it fiercely, commanded the venerable Taoist Yuanji from the ancient cloud realm, brandishing a divine whip crafted specifically for combating primordial spirits. Do not go too far, bellowed the great Emperor of Heavenly Authority, unleashing a blinding golden light that sent the emperors reeling. What is that? The essence of life flowing. How is his healing ability so swift? Ji Wuxing exclaimed in astonishment. Taoist Yuanji furrowed his brow, explaining, it is the death replacement talisman, a treasure designed to spare one's life. In the midst of the fray, the great Emperor of Heavenly Authority swiftly mended his form, returning to his peak state, unmarred by any wounds. He dared not linger, for no one could withstand such a united onslaught from so many emperors. I shall remember this grudge. In the future, when I, the North Dipper, rise to prominence in the world, I will personally pay you a visit. The great Emperor activated a forbidden secret technique. Stepping onto a black teleportation array, the surrounding spatial laws swirling as if ready to whisk him away. Before departing, he uttered a fierce vow to avenge today's humiliation. Thinking of escaping? It won't be so easy. Jiang Xingyang was the first to act, his firearm slicing through the air, attempting to influence the spatial laws around him to thwart the activation of the teleportation array. Futile attempt. This is a quasi-immortal grade formation, connected to my North Dipper's main realm. Can you mere supremes hope to stop me? With a boisterous laugh, the great Emperor of Heavenly Authority vanished into the void. At that moment, Jiang Xingyang's shot struck the ground, causing the ancient star to erupt violently, shattering into countless fragments scattered throughout the cosmos. Infuriating, Ji Wuxing exclaimed, delivering a powerful palm strike that obliterated a distant star in a display of rage. Even after all this, we couldn't capture him. The Emperor of Shuhua and the others shared a sense of imbalance, feeling as though their collective might had been in vain. Unable to detain the great Emperor of Heavenly Authority, the thought of such a failure being the subject of ridicule was unbearable. Suddenly, the screen flickered, and Ji Xian emerged, hands clasped behind him. As the others began to speak, he gestured for them to calm down. With a pointed finger, he directed his focus to the spot where the great Emperor of Heavenly Authority had departed, uttering a single word. Reversal. In an instant, a shimmering river of light surged forth, encircling Ji Xian and elevating his presence to an ethereal sanctity. Suddenly, the temporal laws surrounding him shifted, and countless fragments of stones surged from all directions, reassembling into the form of a colossal star. Following this, the dense spatial rules began to boil, creating a vortex at the point from which the Emperor of the Celestial Sovereigns had departed. With a resounding rip, the void was torn apart, and the figure of the Emperor was expelled, landing abruptly on the ground and stirring up a cloud of dust. What is happening? Was I not approaching the Northern Dipper? Why have I returned so abruptly? The Emperor of the Celestial Sovereigns wore a bewildered expression, and upon catching sight of Ji Xian, he was struck by a wave of terror. As he perceived the residual temporal laws lingering in the vicinity, he gasped in shock. You have stolen the legacy of the Reincarnation Sacred Hall and seized control of time. To accuse my Northern Dipper of being bandits is quite hypocritical of you. Upon hearing this, Ji Xian displayed an air of indifference, extending a colossal hand towards the Emperor of the Celestial Sovereigns. For a fleeting moment, the Emperor struggled but soon relinquished all resistance. Ji Xian's hand seemed capable of suppressing the ages, appearing more immense than the cosmos itself in the Emperor's sight. Boom. With a single strike, the Emperor was reduced to mere fragments, his soul failing to escape the calamity. The universe itself began to collapse beneath Ji Xian's hand, fissuring into numerous horrifying crevices. Thus, an emperor on the brink of transcending into the Hundred Shackles realm was effortlessly slain by Ji Xian. In his final moments, the emperor cast a glance towards the direction of the Wendy. The usually affable elder regarded him with icy eyes, devoid of any semblance of compassion. Even in death, the emperor could not fathom why Wendy, known as the Scales of Heaven, would permit Ji Xian to take such lethal action against him. Was it not said that the Imperial Alliance upheld balance? As the blood rain fell, heralding the demise of the emperor, Jiang Xingyang and the others averted their gazes from Ji Xian and soared back to Tianguan City. In the desolate and frigid cosmos, Ji Xian stood alone, his garments fluttering in the gale that swept from the depths of the universe. He gazed toward the direction of the Northern Dipper, deep in contemplation, before transmitting a message through the system to Zhu Jiuyin, who resided far away in Yuanming Heaven. Mobilize the troops, annihilate the Northern Dipper. Chapter 357. The army enters the Northern Dipper in Yuanming Heaven, within the Reincarnation Immortal Palace. Did my adoptive father truly say this? The ancient galactic emperor gazed in astonishment at Shi Tianming, shocked by his recent proclamation. The Northern Dipper is significantly more powerful than Yuanming Heaven. Each of the 7 sacred lands is a titan in its own right. Having originated from there, he harbored a deep-seated trepidation towards these sacred lands, rumored to possess numerous hidden strategies, biding their time for the grand era to unfold and contest for supremacy. Shi Tianming nodded, stating, "The palace master personally conveyed the order to Senior Zhu Juyin. It cannot be mistaken. We are to eradicate all forces of the Northern Dipper." As he spoke, his hand trembled involuntarily against the armrest of his chair. In the past, when the reincarnation sacred hall was obliterated and his parents were slain, he had imagined a day when he could lead a vast army to trample the Northern Dipper beneath their feet. Little did he expect that day would truly arrive. The palace master has issued a direct command. A few days later, Ji Xian's imperial edict tore through the void, descending upon Yuanming heaven. It unfurled horizontally, radiating a blazing golden light, akin to a celestial decree proclaiming to the myriad forces of Yuanming heaven, "Mobilize the troops, gather at the immortal palace, and wage war against the Northern Dipper." All the formidable beings were stirred, casting their gazes upon the imperial edict, unable to resist kneeling in reverence, including the ancient emperor. A tremendous pressure from the heavenly Tao descended, compelling them to bow their knees and worship. The edict spanned the heavens, as if the celestial emperor himself had descended. Ji Xian commanded the grand momentum of Yuan Mingshan, and none could defy his will. The various powerhouses swiftly mobilized, preparing their forces for departure. On a moonlit night, atop the northern celestial mountains, the sound of a dragon's roar resonated through the skies. Zhu Jiuyin stretched his colossal form, coiling among the mountains, larger than the mountain ranges themselves. He gazed skyward at the luminous moon, and the vertical eye on his forehead opened with a sudden flash, causing time in this space to come to an abrupt halt. Instantly, silvery radiance fell from the heavens, all of which he absorbed into his vertical eye, restoring time to its normal flow. Around him, the stars swirled, and one by one, blazing celestial bodies were consumed by his mouth. A torrent of intense heat erupted within his jaws, yet before it could escape, it was quelled. Balancing the forces of yin and yang, he endeavored to suppress his own cultivation, preventing his immediate ascension to immortality. Months later, the forces of Yuan Mingshan were fully assembled, with the surviving emperors gathering in the celestial palace, awaiting their orders. Indeed, they awaited directives. Despite their esteemed status as ancient emperors, they found themselves deferring to the young man presiding over them, merely because he was the vice master of this celestial palace. Shi Tianming retrieved the quasi-immortal artifact, the sundial, holding it aloft, connecting with the grand momentum of Yuan Mingshan, and shouted, "Let us depart." Celestial might surged forth, sweeping through the 9 heavens. The emperors were stirred, their formidable hearts trembling under the influence of this celestial power, all aware that this was the might of the Xian emperor. The interdimensional portal opened, and a vast army surged forth, with war chariots, airships, exotic beasts, and divine palanquins overwhelming the landscape, causing the mountains to tremble in their wake. It was a grand spectacle, and the common folk below were struck with awe and trepidation. Why had so many celestial armies returned? Was Yuan Mingshan on the verge of war once more? Throughout the years since the establishment of the reincarnation celestial palace, countless frictions with the Northern Dipper had occurred. The battles unleashed by the Holy Realm cultivators were devastating for them. Little did they know, these armies fought for their sake. For only by vanquishing the Northern Dipper could Yuan Mingshan find peace. With a roar, Zhu Jiuyin tore through the void, and the celestial bodies trembled at his might. His form loomed like a black, great wall across the skies, casting shadows over the world. The dragon soared through the boundless sea of clouds, forcing even the mightiest and most noble beings to retreat into the shadows, trembling in fear. A 1,000,000-strong army entered the Northern Dipper, and the curtain of war was lifted. In the vast starry expanse, Ji Xian turned away from Emperor One and headed towards the Northern Dipper. Only Ling Yun and Shi Tianyu accompanied him. "Master, are we truly going to annihilate the Northern Dipper?" Shi Tianyu's expression was fervent, his fists clenched, his body trembling with excitement. The battle had not yet begun, yet his spirit surged with combat fervor, eager to reclaim the losses he had endured in the Northern Dipper over the years. Ling Yun, however, remained remarkably calm. For him, the vastness of the cosmos held no distinction. He needed to hone himself and validate his existence. Ji Xian nodded slightly, choosing to remain silent as he strategized for the impending battle. He hoped for something intriguing to manifest. The sound of clashing armor echoed as the grand army advanced. The soldiers clad in cold, metallic sheen, their eyes devoid of warmth, their hearts yearning solely for combat. The formidable host ascended, transcending the realms of Yuanming and Beidou, entering the universe where Beidou resided. 7 colossal galaxies were nestled within this cosmos, each occupying its designated position, embodying the wonders of creation. Kill! In unison, 1,000,000 soldiers roared, their voices infused with divine might, reverberating through the heavens and shaking the universe. The countless powerful beings of Beidou were stirred, emerging from their respective domains to witness the terrifying spectacle before them. A myriad of ironclad warriors surged from the cosmos, assaulting Beidou. "Whose army is this?" An elder clad in a starry robe inquired, his voice trembling involuntarily, the aura of slaughter instilling fear in his heart. The surrounding powerhouses murmured in disbelief. This was exceedingly rare and horrifying. Beidou had flourished for many years, with emperors still among them. Who would dare to mobilize such a force against them? It is the reincarnation Celestial Palace. At last, someone discerned the fluttering banner through the dim starlight. The gathered cultivators were taken aback. The reincarnation Celestial Palace had been established in recent years, swiftly unifying Yuanming, and now a million-strong army was breaching their defenses. Were they truly preparing for a decisive battle? Boom. A massive beam of light erupted from the army's ranks, more radiant than the starlight, plummeting like a meteor toward Beidou. Do they truly believe Beidou is without defenders? An elderly quasi-emperor stepped forth, manifesting a colossal form surrounded by stars, exuding an unparalleled presence. Retreat, he bellowed, wielding a golden wheel. A quasi-emperor weapon capable of harnessing starlight to vanquish foes. With a thunderous roar, a powerful aura surged forth. The golden wheel unleashed divine radiance, countering the formidable beam in an attempt to withstand the onslaught. Boom. The collision of immense forces triggered a cataclysmic explosion, the circular shockwave radiating outward like a tidal wave, obliterating any cultivators caught unawares, reducing them to mere dust. How can this be possible? The quasi-emperor gasped, horrified as the enemy's strike pierced through the golden wheel. Crack! The beam penetrated the quasi-emperor's body, shattering him into fragments, then descended upon the Tianquan galaxy, annihilating hundreds of ancient stars. Kill! The soldiers erupted in exhilaration. The preceding beam had been unleashed from their war machine, possessing unparalleled penetrating power. Even a quasi-emperor would meet their demise if they stood firm against it. This strike obliterated territories of over a dozen sacred lands, yielding significant results. All observing powerhouses were swept away by the immense energy storm, their faces stricken with terror and confusion. Retreat! All retreat. Report to the main sacred land of Beidou. An external enemy is approaching. Chapter 358, The Catastrophe. The Fall of the Kaiyang Emperor in the Cosmic Expanse. Banners obscured the sun as the ancient monarch of the galaxy led his formidable army to descend upon the North Dipper. The Kaiyang star system was densely populated, with throngs gathered in every corner of the universe. Amidst the clouds and mountains, the celestial army arrived with a swift and ferocious assault on all existing powers of the North Dipper. The battle erupted rapidly. The indomitable Holy Land resisted valiantly at first, but was swiftly annihilated by the celestial cavalry, leaving countless corpses strewn across the land and rivers flowing red with blood. Who dares to trample upon the North Dipper? Are you not afraid of the great emperor of the Holy Land emerging to vanquish you? An elder of esteemed reputation bellowed, his voice echoing with authority. He was the leader of a sect, teetering on the brink of becoming an emperor himself. Unyielding in the face of divine weaponry descending from the heavens, he invoked the prestige of the North Dipper, hoping to intimidate the invading forces. Kill. Yet, what awaited him was only the relentless onslaught of the celestial soldiers. The mountains reverberated with the thunderous roar of cannons. The Elder's teachings were shattered by divine light as ancient stars exploded and heroes fell. This was a fierce army of tigers, well-equipped and brimming with youthful vigor, obliterating each opposing doctrine with overwhelming force. Many combatants were valiant sons of the native lands, harboring animosity towards the North Dipper, and upon entering this battlefield, they exhibited unmatched bravery. Suddenly, the venerable elder was pierced through by a spear, his body shattered, and his head crushed by a rampaging beast. His disciples wept bitterly, mourning their ancestor, who had never committed any wrongdoing in his life, dedicating himself to the advancement of their sect and aiding the weak. In the end, he met with such a tragic fate, evoking deep sorrow. Death! Cries of despair and the clamor of battle filled the air. Within a single day, this doctrine was cleansed in blood. Esteemed immortals, we do not wish to fight. We surrender, pleaded a sect leader, kneeling in desperation. He was compelled to do so, burdened by the responsibility of protecting thousands of disciples and millions of citizens within his territory. For the sake of the elderly, the weak, and infants in swaddling clothes, he relinquished his pride as a citizen of the North Dipper. In the face of survival, all else was but an illusion. Count the numbers and secure this place, commanded Shi Tianming from his steed. Military leaders entered deep into the sacred land, sealing the protective barriers and occupying the territory. There was no bloodshed here, nor a single life lost, for Ji Xian had instructed kindness towards those who surrendered. Similarly, this was a cadre of sovereigns, refraining from senseless slaughter, intent only on toppling the North Dipper to re-establish order, striving for a more prosperous world. In that moment, chaos engulfed the entire Kaiyang star system. Among the stars, the defiant warriors shone with blinding radiance, illuminating the firmament, yet were swiftly suppressed by the celestial army. Across billions of stars, riots of varying magnitudes erupted, and the vibrant constellations were nearly submerged beneath rivers of flowing blood. Standing in the river, gazing into the distance, it seemed endless. This was no mere river. It was a sea, formed by the convergence of the blood of living beings. War was destined to be brutal and unavoidable. What a cycle of the celestial palace. What a Ji Xian. I, the emperor, shall annihilate you all. The Emperor Kaiyang, roused from his seclusion, soared to the heavens, witnessing the dire scene before him, his chest constricting with unbearable anguish and his heart heavy with despair. Die, all of you. With a sweeping gesture, he reversed the cosmic river, shaking the very fabric of existence, as countless celestial armies were instantaneously reduced to a mist of crimson. Despite their formidable cavalry, they appeared diminutive before a true emperor. With a flick of his sleeve, Emperor Kaiyang surged into the celestial river, commencing the massacre of the invading practitioners. Each holy sovereign and great saint crumbled under his divine might, as if they were mere paper. In that moment, the imperial majesty was overwhelming, and Emperor Kaiyang unleashed his fury, reveling in the slaughter. Boom! A powerful strike from the emperor shattered a portion of the universe, unleashing torrents of chaotic voids. Howling winds swirling around him, his hair dancing wildly, and his eyes ablaze with crimson fury. As he gazed upon the mountains of corpses and seas of blood, he laughed heartily, exclaiming, "Ha ha ha! What celestial palace? Merely a gathering of insignificant creatures. Ah, ancestor, save me!" A wretched scream echoed. And Emperor Kaiyang turned to see his own sons and daughters being relentlessly pursued by a youth clad in blue. Shi Tianyu wielded the Fang Tianhua halberd, summoning the celestial river, as the imperial weapon exuded a trace of pure essence, crushing the holy sons without mercy. He showed no leniency towards the practitioners of the Northern Dipper, especially those who had dared to challenge the Kaiyang Holy Land. Boom! A part of the Kaiyang Holy Land was submerged, mountains collapsing into the depths of the cosmos. Shi Tianyu, holding the imperial weapon, radiated unparalleled might, with none beneath the emperor daring to contend with him. "You shall not die a good death, reincarnation's saint body," Emperor Kaiyang roared, devoid of reason at this moment. As Shi Tianyu wielded his ultimate divine power, eradicating all the young prodigies of the Kaiyang Holy Land, precious seeds of combat potential, promising prospects for future enlightenment. Emperor Kaiyang advanced, causing the stars to tremble, reversing the cosmic river as he crossed hundreds of thousands of miles, aiming to crush Shi Tianyu with a single palm. Suddenly, a white-haired youth appeared, intercepting him with a punch, sending the approaching emperor flying. Puff! Despite being as formidable as Emperor Kaiyang, he spat black blood, hurtling backward, clearly wounded. The ancient galaxy sovereign manifested, tall and elegant, his white hair swirling as he struck with a fist, directly repelling Emperor Kaiyang. "Innate Chi, are you the galaxy sovereign of the ancient clan?" Emperor Kaiyang inquired, astonished. The galaxy sovereign replied, "Indeed, it is I. What is your intention? To obstruct my slaying of enemies? The Northern Dipper is not governed by you ancient clans." Emperor Kaiyang retorted, wary of the galaxy sovereign, who had embarked on the path of the innate, soon to become a being of innate essence, unmatched in combat prowess among his peers. The galaxy sovereign chuckled, saying, "You must be foolish. I am already a man of my adoptive father." Emperor Kaiyang was momentarily taken aback. An adoptive father? Who could that be? But upon seeing him protect Shi Tianyu behind him, everything became clear. The Emperor Kaiyang scoffed, "What a grand figure the ancient emperor of the galaxy is, feasting upon my Northern Dipper and sleeping beneath its stars. Yet he has the audacity to adopt an outsider as his godfather." The path of the sovereign is fraught with challenges, contending against the heavens and remaining unyielding to any foe. You, however, are but a spineless wretch. The ancient emperor of the galaxy, scratching his ear, retorted with disdain, "Are we to continue this farce or not? Is it all you can do to merely flap your jaws? Let us conclude this swiftly. I have a task entrusted to me by my godfather." Emperor Kaiyang clenched his teeth, filled with unbridled rage as he exclaimed, "What a humiliation! A traitor who feasts on the spoils of others. Should that Jishin appear here, I shall slay him before your very eyes." The previous encounter had left him feeling utterly humiliated after Jishin had slain his avatar. Throughout his life, Emperor Kaiyang had never been bested. How could he possibly lose if he confronted Jishin in his true form? "Very well, I shall indulge your request and stand here for you to slay me." A cold voice resonated from the depths of the universe, and in an instant, a shimmering light traversed countless miles, materializing not far from Emperor Kaiyang. "You are Jishin." Emperor Kaiyang inhaled sharply, feeling as if an invisible mountain pressed down upon him, a terrifying aura enveloping him. "Dare you engage me in a fair battle?" After regaining his composure, he faced Ji Xian once more. Ji Xian waved his hand dismissively, declaring, "The light of a firefly dares not obscure the sky." Extending a massive hand towards Emperor Kaiyang, the entire Kaiyang star system began to tremble. An ethereal hand manifested, enveloping the entire star system within its grasp. As Ji Xian's palm reached out, chaos ensued. The cosmic sea roiling, and all fundamental laws of the universe were suppressed. To those observing, the vast hand seemed to create its own realm, sealing off the surroundings. A single hand obscures the heavens. At the epicenter, Emperor Kaiyang found himself utterly immobilized, gazing in horror at Ji Xian, who stood calmly before him. All his supreme laws had been subdued, and his powers had been utterly stripped away. Ji Xian looked down upon him from a lofty height, as if regarding an insignificant insect. "You have danced before me for far too long. It is time for you to perish." With a command, the celestial hand descended, coalescing into a chaotic light that resembled sword energy, cleaving through the heavens and resonating throughout the cosmos. Boom! The vast expanse of the Kaiyang sacred land split apart. The force of the blow so astonishing that it seemed to rend the very fabric of reality. Within the swirling vortex of overwhelming energy, Emperor Kaiyang began to disintegrate. Only in his final moments did he comprehend the insurmountable gap between himself and Ji Xian. Unmatchable, the rain of blood fell, signifying the fall of an emperor, saturating the realm with sorrowful emotions, a manifestation of Emperor Kaiyang's lingering attachments after his demise. He was unwilling to accept his fate, indignant. Having led a brilliant life, yet dying in such a disgraceful manner. Across the heavens, myriad voices echoed in lamentation, mourning the passing of this emperor. As the tumult of war momentarily ceased, leaving all affected by this grief to succumb to sorrow, the Emperor Kaiyang has fallen. Chapter 359. The divine might of Zhu Jiuyin. As blood rained down, the ancient paths wept in mourning. A tragic song resonated throughout the entire Kaiyang star system. The remaining cultivators, desperately resisting, felt a tightening in their chests. Witnessing the sky filled with blood blossoms, they understood that their emperor had fallen. Oh, Emperor! Countless souls knelt upon the ground, their cries echoing endlessly. They laid down their weapons and relinquished their resistance. The emperor is the cornerstone of an eternal power. Should he fall, it signifies the end of an era. Ji Xian withdrew the hand that obscured the heavens, and the myriad stars of the Kaiyang galaxy once again radiated boundless starlight. The demise of the Kaiyang emperor reverberated through other galaxies, awakening formidable beings. The Kaiyang had perished. In the sacred grounds of the Big Dipper, supreme existences stirred. The moment they awoke, they sensed the raging inferno of war outside, instinctively clenching their fists. The Big Dipper had once produced an immortal, whose divine might resonated through the ages, and now they dared to be attacked. Boom! In an instant, the other major galaxies trembled, with streaks of light piercing the heavens, appearing in the vast cosmos. They gazed across the void towards Kaiyang, witnessing the overwhelming flames of war and the sea of blood and skulls, unable to restrain their roars. It is you again from the Reincarnation Immortal Palace. You dare to slay my esteemed emperors, Tianshu, Tianquan, and Xingling, and today you still come to wreak havoc upon my sect. Mobilize the troops. Let them find no place to bury their dead. Attack. Strike to their homeland, and seize Yuan Mingxin in one fell swoop. Several ancient figures bellowed, their imperial might radiating, sweeping across 1,000,000 miles of star regions, dimming the brilliance of the celestial bodies. In that moment, a darkened army surged forth from the great world, arriving in the vast universe. Yuan Mingxin, we of the Big Dipper have yet to impose sanctions upon you, yet you have seized the opportunity to invade. Today, all must remain here. The soldiers of the Big Dipper, their eyes aflame, gazed upon the shattered mountains and rivers, the tragic deaths of their compatriots, and a surge of wrath erupted within their chests. Soon, the two armies appeared on the vast cosmic battlefield, clashing with fervor. The Big Dipper's forces, led by the Yuheng and Tianji sacred grounds, engaged in fierce combat with the armies of the Immortal Palace. Cannons, spells, and formations were activated, their powers surging mightily, as if they could rend the fabric of the universe and cleave through chaos. Shi Tianyu and Lingyun plunged into the fray, bathing in the blood of thousands of foes. Honing their skills, the entire starry sky began to tremble, the vast starlight obscured by the dazzling brilliance of spells, with the bodies of the fallen suspended in the air, their numbers rivaling that of planets. This was a monumental clash between the Yuan Mingxin and the Big Dipper, the ferocity comparable to that of battles at the frontier. Those participating in the war were all valiant men, none were cowards. Both sides unleashed their true fire, within a month of the war's commencement. The bloodshed had stained the starry heavens red. On the Kaiyang galaxy, Ji Xian stood firm upon an ancient star, like a great mountain overseeing the battlefield, exuding an air of imperial majesty. He gazed into the cosmic expanse, his eyes profound, as if holding the passage of eons within them. Far off, on the Yuheng and Kaiyang galaxies, 2 or 3 supreme beings were also fixated upon him. Suddenly, they moved, stepping forth and crossing half a star domain. Their imperial might vast as the ocean, charging towards Ji Xian. Just as the ancient galactic emperor sought to showcase his prowess, the space beside him shattered, and Zhu Jiuyin emerged from within. Roar! A dragon's roar shattered the universe, tearing the heavens asunder. The might of the ancestral dragon was unparalleled, instantly upending the entire battlefield. Regardless of whether they were allies or foes, all the soldiers felt dizzy and trembled uncontrollably. The dragon's roar, capable of tearing the very fabric of the world, struck their hearts with a force that evoked an involuntary sense of helplessness. Zhu Jiuyin did not act with intent. Rather, an innate divine aura emanated from him. He paid no heed to the soldiers engaged in battle, directing all his focus toward the 3 approaching emperors. Yuheng, Tianji, and another emperor abruptly halted, their gazes drawn to the towering, one-eyed giant dragon, a flicker of panic igniting within them. What manner of being is this? Yuheng the great emperor's voice trembled. The realm was imperceptible, yet the dense aura of temporal laws surrounding him was palpable. Furthermore, why was that singular eye closed? The other two emperors were equally perplexed. However, one thing was abundantly clear. Any one of them would certainly be no match for this colossal dragon in a one-on-one confrontation. If he has come here to engage in battle, we are doomed, Yuheng the Great Emperor uttered, his heart racing for the first time in his life. It cannot be. This being is evidently indifferent to the battlefield, seemingly traversing the cosmos and fortuitously passing through here, Tianji the Great Emperor replied. Yet, in the next moment, they were left dumbfounded. Around the dragon, a speck of light, no larger than a grain of rice, appeared and flew towards Zhu Jiuyin, settling securely atop his head. This glimmering light housed Ji Xian, who, within the vast cosmos, appeared as merely a twinkling star against Zhu Jiuyin's immense dragon form. Let us summon the immortal. Before the emperors could engage in battle, they had already retreated in fear, transforming into streaks of light and hastily fleeing towards the location of the Yaoguang star system. Zhu Jiuyin inhaled deeply, releasing a wave of breath that obliterated thousands of stars. It was evident that he was somewhat displeased. No need for concern. Just kill. Ji Xian gently caressed his dragon horn. Upon receiving Ji Xian's consent, Zhu Jiuyin lifted his colossal head, and his closed eyes slightly opened. In an instant, golden light enveloped the surroundings, cascading down from the heavens. All beings were rendered motionless, as if ensnared in a cycle of reincarnation. The golden radiance constructed a magnificent world. The abruptness of it all left the soldiers, who had been fiercely battling, frozen in place, their surrounding temporal laws drained, and under Zhu Jiuyin's dominion. The three emperors, in their flight, felt their movements hindered, their speeds dwindling. Turning their heads, they realized that the blinding golden light had enveloped them. In that fleeting moment, they glimpsed Zhu Jiuyin's slightly open eye. Boom. Yuheng the Great Emperor's pupils constricted as if faced with the most horrifying sight in existence. His head erupted, divine blood splattering across the cosmic expanse. His primordial spirit was obliterated in an instant. Thus, a supreme being fell. The remaining two emperors promptly shut their eyes. Having been blinded by the dazzling golden light, they did not fully witness that eye. Is this a forbidden existence? Tianji the Great Emperor trembled, reflecting on his prolonged seclusion and this being's first battle upon emergence, which had resulted in such a grim fate. A forbidden existence is one that has survived since antiquity. Perhaps an immortal who has slashed their own cultivation to become an emperor, or a being born from the earth, achieving enlightenment. That eye is undoubtedly forbidden. Most likely a celestial object, perhaps housing a living immortal within it. Another emperor remarked. Quickly relay the message to the sacred ancestor of Yaoguang, among our 7 stars brothers. Only he can communicate with the celestial souls. Let the Lord of the Big Dipper descend, the Emperor Tianji proclaimed. He gritted his teeth, enduring excruciating pain as he uttered this phrase. The resplendent golden clouds dazzled with a breathtaking brilliance, yet concealed an unparalleled lethality as time flowed and eroded his body, draining his vitality. It must be thus. I shall use my soul as a sacrifice to send the message. The body of another emperor began to decay, transforming in an eerie manner. His expression contorted, shifting from agony to a ghastly grimace, releasing tendrils of dark mist. The thick fog swirled, morphing into a pitch-black sprite, imbued with an air of malevolence, soaring into the depths of the cosmos. Chapter 360. Conspiracy within the realm of splendid golden clouds. The malevolent sprite was seemingly unbound by the constraints of time, flapping its bat-like wings as it soared outward. Adoptive father, could that be the ancient emperor of the galaxy? Gasped the astonished onlooker, for it was the first time he had encountered a being of darkness in his long existence. Ji Xian scoffed. Ah, what a delightful Big Dipper. Aiding the dark entity while troubling me at the borders, little did he expect to engage in such treachery. With a sweeping motion, 3 primordial celestial artifacts within him activated, and primordial celestial power surged outward like ripples, instantaneously annihilating the dark being. What is this? The Emperor exclaimed in terror. He had sacrificed his soul to summon this sprite, only to have it obliterated in the blink of an eye by Ji Xian. Boom, boom, boom. The dragon body of Zhu Jiuyin began to sway, its massive head lowering before the 2 emperors, with fiery eyes like 2 eternal lamps, larger than celestial stars. The scorching breath of the dragon brewed within its maw, aimed at the 2, as if ready to deliver a judgment of death. A torrent of heat surged forth. A mere breath singed the bodies of the 2 emperors before it. Let us act, the Emperor Tianji declared decisively. Recognizing they were no match for the dragon and resigned to their fate, Ji Xian loomed above, resembling a celestial deity, surveying the 2 emperors below. He coldly inquired, "Tell me, to what extent has the Big Dipper progressed in its study of darkness?" The Emperor Tianji scoffed, "Humph. If you wish to act, then act. Why all this unnecessary chatter? I seek death, and you wish to pry information from me? Ha, not a chance." The other emperor remained silent. Ascension to emperor status required enduring countless tribulations, and these unparalleled powerhouses often harbored pride, unwilling to surrender even in death. Ji Xian remained unfazed, calmly stating, "Very well. Then I shall personally extract your soul. If you can, then by all means try. The Emperor Tianji retorted disdainfully. Yet, in the next moment, he sensed something amiss. In the depths of the universe, 33 layers of celestial heavens manifested, resplendent palaces towering above the clouds, majestic like the treasures of the heavenly emperor. A black stone tablet emerged, bathed in lightning, slowly descending. It descended bearing the weight of celestial authority. A mere span of less than a foot, yet heavier than the primordial divine mountains, leaving the Emperor Tianji gasping for breath before it had even fully landed. The divine list. Upon reading the inscription on the stone tablet, his countenance shifted dramatically, draining of all color, rendering him pale as a ghost. A treasure of the heavenly path. Ji Xian smiled, cradling the divine list in his palm, and remarked, "Can it not suppress you now?" With that, he pointed decisively, unleashing boundless celestial light that transformed into a torrent of sword energy, converging like a deluge towards the center of the Emperor Tianji's brow. Crack! The fierce clash of sword energy soared into the heavens, violently colliding with the barrier at the Emperor's brow. This subtle confrontation sent tremors through the celestial stars. For cultivators, the center of the brow is the most fortified point of defense, for it houses all the secrets of a practitioner's essence. If breached, their techniques, memories, and spirit would be exposed to the world, leaving no secrets intact. The Emperor Tianji cried out in agony, his entire body convulsing uncontrollably, foam spilling from his lips. His soul was under siege, his head pounding as if pierced by a million steel needles. With a final struggle, his essence was ultimately breached, causing him to stiffen, nearly losing consciousness. A thread of Ji Xian's divine thought shot forth from his fingertip, penetrating the Emperor's brow. Within the sea of consciousness, a vast azure ocean surged, its waves roaring as endless laws of the Tao unfolded autonomously, forming ancient continents, a boundless starry expanse, and even an entire universe. This was the hidden sanctuary of the Emperor's primordial spirit, capable of manifesting a universe, a testament to a higher echelon of life and profound mastery of the Tao. Ji Xian diligently disregarded the extraneous information, focusing intently on his quest. In a short while, he made a discovery. The Big Dipper was indeed intertwined with darkness, and to a significant degree. To Ji Xian's astonishment, the Big Dipper harbored a colossal entity known as the Gate of Darkness, concealed within a certain star domain. Years ago, he had single-handedly battled the dark beings at the end of the Celestial Sword Palace for over a century before purging them completely. Today, he had found new leads regarding this gate. Through the memories of the Emperor Tianji, Ji Xian uncovered many intriguing revelations. The forces of the Big Dipper were secretly colluding with powerful entities from beyond the universe, seeking the secret arts of dark cultivation. The divine seeds that fell from the heavens were merely foundational, while their true pursuit lay in the dark methods of ascension practiced by the Emperor. This even involved summoning the Lord of the Big Dipper to descend, rallying forces to assault the Celestial Palace and the Taoist sections. Everything revolved around darkness. What audacity the Big Dipper displayed, masquerading their schemes under a facade of righteousness, while secretly plotting to sacrifice the entirety of my Taoist sect. After absorbing all this, Ji Xian could not contain his fury. The Big Dipper was amassing power with the intent to offer up all of Taoism, colluding with extraterrestrial powers to procure dark arts, uniting with other factions to prepare an assault on the Taoist sect, all to summon immortals. This was a seamless plan in their eyes, yet flawed by their miscalculation of Ji Xian's role. Before the forces of the Big Dipper could enact their designs against him, the Celestial Palace unleashed its might, swiftly suppressing the Big Dipper. With a sudden rush, Ji Xian's consciousness departed from the sea of knowledge of the Celestial Emperor, leaving behind not a single weapon, technique, or treasure, for he deemed them beneath him. The Celestial Emperor awakened from his pain, casting a resentful gaze at Ji Xian, his hatred unmasked. He had been soul-searched. Perhaps, after countless millennia, I am the first emperor to suffer such indignity. The Celestial Emperor's expression reflected deep desolation. He would rather embrace death than endure this humiliation. Well, after all these years, you old relic are the first emperor to be soul-searched. What a disgrace, quipped the ancient monarch of the galaxy. That would still be preferable to submitting to others and becoming a mere dog, retorted the Celestial Emperor, his disdain for the serpent evident. Curse you. The ancient monarch of the galaxy struck with a mighty hand, obliterating the Celestial Emperor's head. Blood and gray matter splattered, showering another emperor who scrambled to evade the gruesome display. As an emperor, to ally with darkness, for those who revered you in this starry sky, even 10 lives would not suffice to repay the debt. Ji Xian stated calmly, flicking his sleeve. Multicolored celestial flames erupted, infused with primordial celestial energy, incinerating another emperor to ashes. The blazing flames sparkled like starlight. His primordial spirit struggled, but was soon reduced to nothingness. This time, the ancient monarch of the galaxy fell silent, wary of the dark substance that clung to the deceased emperor. He dared not act recklessly. Simultaneously, he increasingly felt that following Ji Xian was indeed a sagacious choice. The fallen powerhouse was no weaker than himself, yet Ji Xian had effortlessly subdued him, scattering even his ashes. It seemed he must strive to showcase his own worth. He clenched his right fist, rallying himself inwardly. With this thought, he aimed at the shattered primordial spirit of the Celestial Emperor, taunting, "Old Celestial, did you not look down upon me? Witness your ultimate fate. Today, I shall personally send you to your grave." Upon finishing, he extended his hand toward the Celestial Emperor. Chapter 361, Guardian of the Starry Sky. Suddenly, the ancient monarch of the galaxy's hand opened and closed, summoning a dense aura of innate energy. For innate beings, this was boundless fortune. For other cultivators, it signified unparalleled peril. The Celestial Emperor's primordial spirit was ensnared by the innate energy, rendering him immobile as his soul power was gradually stripped away, rendering him increasingly feeble, on the verge of annihilation. Then, from the depths of the universe, an eerie energy fluctuation emerged, infused with a presence surpassing the supreme realm, extinguishing the innate force unleashed by the ancient monarch of the galaxy. "Who dares?" the ancient monarch of the galaxy exclaimed, awakening to the realization that a formidable presence was about to arrive. Ji Xian, too, turned his gaze in that direction. "Fellow cultivator, harmony is of utmost importance." An ancient voice resonated through the heavens, as nebulas shifted and two luminous points twinkled in the darkness. Soon, two robed figures, their hoods concealing their faces, appeared, exuding an overwhelming imperial might, shrouded in mystery, transcending the supreme realm. "Who are you? Daring to disrupt the battle between the two great universes of the Northern Dipper and the Primordial Light? Are you tired of living?" the ancient monarch of the galaxy thundered, frustrated to have his moment interrupted, losing face before his adoptive father. One of the elders spoke. "We are the guardians of order between the heavens and the earth, maintaining the balance among various powers. You may refer to us as the protectors of the celestial realm." Another elder, a woman, echoed his sentiments, insisting that they withdraw their troops immediately, as the outbreak of such a large-scale war would harm the vitality of the heavens and the earth, making it easy for external forces to exploit the chaos. Behind them, countless points of light hovered, each the size of a star, radiating a powerful aura of life. Ji Xian gazed at the luminous orbs for a moment, sensing a hint of something deeper. He inquired, "Guardians of the celestial realm, what principle do you protect?" The elder replied, "Naturally, it is the grand principle of balance in the heavens and the earth. With the emergence of the Imperial Alliance, the order of the realms must be upheld. Are you, as an emperor, unaware of this?" His voice, though tinged with ancient gravitas, possessed an undeniable authority that commanded compliance. "Withdraw your troops at once," the elder woman exclaimed, her impatience palpable. "Withdraw? Do you not know who I am? Did Emperor Wen not instruct you thus?" Ji Xian probed, already having deduced their identities. The two elders were momentarily taken aback, pondering briefly before urging, "Regardless of your identity, retreat swiftly. The balance of the heavens and the earth cannot be disrupted. We come on behalf of the Imperial Alliance, bearing the edict of the true martial emperor. All must obey." Ji Xian ceased his banter, drawing his bow and loosing an arrow. The arrow soared like a celestial rainbow, piercing the starry void, imbued with an irresistible divine might as it hurtled toward the two. "You wretched beings of the heavens and the earth, do you dare oppose the Imperial Alliance?" The elder woman panicked, hastily conjuring a magical artifact to defend herself. Yet all was in vain. The arrow, akin to an everlasting immortal light, shattered her protective artifact with a single strike and penetrated her body. A spray of blood erupted as her form disintegrated. In the wake of her piercing scream, the radiant orbs behind her exploded, coalescing back into a new corporeal form. She gasped for breath, her legs trembling, evidently shaken by the indelible damage inflicted by that strike. The elder inhaled sharply, utterly astonished that, despite their identities as guardians of the Imperial Alliance, this man dared to attack them. "You possess remarkable audacity. The true martial emperor commands the Imperial Alliance, and his will is akin to divine decree. To defy it is to court disaster," the elder admonished, though his earlier fervor had waned. "Even now, you feign authority before me. You have misjudged your adversary," Ji Xian retorted, unleashing a powerful 6 paths of reincarnation fist, causing the cosmic sea to boil and clash violently with the grand principle, erupting in a thunderous explosion in the distance. Billowing smoke rose as the impact zone transformed into a forbidden realm, enveloped by formidable temporal laws, ensnaring the emperor within, making escape nigh impossible. 2 orbs of spiritual fire emerged, swiftly approaching the hovering points of light, seeking to devour them and reconstruct their forms. However, Ji Xian granted them no reprieve. The golden Taiji circle unfolded, momentarily shrouding the starry domain, its overwhelming pressure binding the two emperors in place. A gentle breeze swept through as the 2 orbs of spiritual fire approached, captured within Ji Xian's grasp. The 2 elderly men were taken aback as they charged recklessly, yet could not escape the grasp of Ji Xian. His palm, though less than a foot in length, seemed to encompass an entire vast world, boundless and expansive, allowing no avenue of escape, no matter how fervently they struggled. Merely 2 corporeal manifestations, how dare they bark wildly before the emperor? Ji Xian clenched his fist, intent on extinguishing the two flickering souls of their essence. Act! The two elders shrieked, as the infernal flames ignited within Ji Xian's palm, scorching their very souls, reducing them to ash in mere moments. Streams of information flowed from their fingertips into Ji Xian's brow. Foster father, these two are somewhat bewildered, he noted. Two formidable beings above the supreme realm were swiftly subdued by Ji Xian, leaving them utterly unresponsive. The great emperors who ventured from beyond merely bore corporeal forms. Not their true selves, Ji Xian remarked. What? The ancient emperor of the galaxy exclaimed in astonishment. How could foes from beyond breach the North Dipper? This place is the heart of the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Ji Xian offered no further words, leaving all to the imagination of the ancient emperor of the galaxy. He stepped forward, altering the cosmos, summoning the suspended points of light towards him. After the previous depletion by the old crone, a third of the floating points had vanished. Each one was the size of a star, collectively resembling a magnificent sea of stars, pulsating with life and fragrant vitality. Zhu Jiuyin leaned in, opening his great maw, eager to taste the essence of this spectacle. Do not dare to eat, Ji Xian admonished, delivering a light slap to his head to deter him. Though it did not hurt, Zhu Jiuyin quickly retreated, burying his massive dragon head within his coiled body, revealing only a single vertical eye. Gazing out with a look of innocent grievance, the ancient emperor of the galaxy felt a mix of embarrassment and incredulity. Usually, Zhu Jiuyin commanded storms and roamed the starry seas like a monarch ruling over the 9 heavens and 10 earths, exuding an aura that could conquer mountains and rivers. Yet, before Ji Xian, he appeared as a contrite child caught in wrongdoing. On the other side, Ji Xian sliced through a sphere of light with a gesture. With a whoosh, a figure emerged, clad in the battle armor of the Daoist sect's army. It was a man, bound by the order chains forged by the emperor, ensnared in slumber. Yet, the vitality emanating from him was rich and profound, nourished by the essence within the sphere, glimmering with a radiant sheen. Ji Xian's suspicions were confirmed as he pierced through over a dozen spheres, one by one, figures tumbling forth. Their appearances and attire varied: common folk, Taoists, demon kin, ancient clans, and sea dwellers from all corners of the 9 heavens and 10 earths. However, they shared a commonality: exceptional bone structure and vibrant life force. After splitting open several more spheres, Ji Xian uncovered dark matter within. Indeed, as he murmured softly, these beings had been captured by the two elders to serve as sacrificial offerings to the darkness. Moments ago, when the old crone was struck by Ji Xian, she had exploded and reformed, having sacrificed a living being's vibrant life to regain her strength. After refining the two, Ji Xian also learned that they had ventured into the 9 heavens and 10 earths not aimlessly, but with a certain reliance, under the protection of unseen forces. The North Dipper. Upon discovering the truth, the ancient emperor of the galaxy was profoundly indignant. A thief has invaded my home. Alas, my adoptive father's decision to launch a blitzkrieg against the Northern Dipper was indeed a sagacious one. Those wretches are truly deserving of their fate, he lamented. He was acutely aware of the tremendous sacrifices made by the Celestial Palace's forces at the borders. Countless soldiers had perished, and innumerable civilians had lost their families, becoming displaced. While the Northern Dipper offered no support in defense of the borders, it nurtured enemies within its heart, and even dared to plot a surprise attack, sacrificing their Taoist sect. Such treachery is truly contemptible. Come on, why are you standing there in a daze? We have yet to address Yao Guang and Tian Shu. A voice calling from afar broke his reverie. It was Ji Xian. The ancient emperor quickly regained his composure and hurried to follow. Chapter 362, Patriarch Yao Guang. The fall of an old friend. In the vast expanse of the Northern Dipper, countless stars twinkled, forming a breathtakingly beautiful world from other universes. Gazing upon this realm and feeling the resplendent starlight invoked profound yearning. The Northern Dipper, with its formidable strength, ranks among the mightiest in the 9 heavens and 10 earths. Having once produced an immortal whose renown was unparalleled, deterring all from provoking it. Even the ancient emperor would tread carefully here. Yet, within this flourishing and seemingly untouchable universe, it was undergoing the baptism of cataclysmic warfare. 5 of the 7 major star systems, Tianquan, Tianxian, Tianji, Tianshu, Kaiyang, Yuheng, and Yaoguang, had succumbed, completely suppressed by the Celestial Palace's armies. Holy blood stained the vast seas, imperial blood pierced the cosmos, and several major star systems were on the brink of collapse. All who rose in rebellion were quashed, and not a single soul survived among the millions in the sacred lands. The sanctuaries that opened their gates to welcome the Celestial Palace's forces remained unharmed, devoid of bloodshed. Clang, clang. The sounds of the Celestial Palace's forces stirred throughout the star domains. They were preparing to assault the remaining 2 major star systems, Yaoguang and Tianshu. The pride of the Northern Dipper stood strong and defiant against the 9 heavens. Legend has it that these 2 factions were established by the Northern Dipper Star Lord himself, while the other 5 sanctuaries branched off from them. Adoptive father, why do I sense something amiss in this place? The ancient emperor of the galaxy shrank his neck and glanced anxiously at the starry sky around him. Having embarked on the path of the innate, his intuition was remarkably acute, perceiving an unusual arrangement of celestial bodies in the cosmos. The lifeless great stars, arranged in a peculiar formation, seemed to possess a semblance of life, inhaling and exhaling the essence of heaven and earth, pulsating with energetic fluctuations. It is the Zhou Tian Great Array. It has likely touched upon the threshold of the immortal Tao, and we find ourselves ensnared within it, Ji Xian remarked. He had been aware of it even before stepping into the Yaoguang star system. There exists a secret connection between the Yaoguang and Tianshu star systems. Akin to tightly entwined twins, their yin and yang in harmonious interplay, exuding a formidable aura. In truth, this energetic communion extends beyond just Yaoguang and Tianshu. The 7 stars of the Northern Dipper are interconnected by powerful energies. Countless chains of order are hidden within the void, binding them together, as if sealing something away. Undoubtedly, a formidable array master is orchestrating this entire scheme. If I am not mistaken, the Northern Dipper star array has achieved the status of an immortal grade formation. Having sensed the vibrant spatial laws within the void, Ji Xian reached this conclusion. Indeed, it is a legacy left by the Lord of the Big Dipper, rich in profound depth. Despite being at the center of the grand formation, Ji Xian remained remarkably composed, for there was no place in the realm that could contain him. In the distant sky, within a majestic star palace, they had entered the territory of the celestial map. If so, matters would become manageable. While we remain in slumber, they audaciously seize the Big Dipper and have slain so many of our brethren. How despicable. What is this so-called Xian Emperor? Merely a fledgling who has yet to reach a millennium since ascension, boasting of achievements that, in my eyes, are utterly unworthy of his name. The Emperor of Tianshu disdainfully remarked. Clad in a divinatory robe and wielding a whisk, his white hair cascaded down to his waist, embodying the image of a venerable sage. Seated nearby, an elderly man, frail and enfeebled, languished, his voice hoarse as he cautioned, "Do not underestimate the enemy." This individual is no ordinary foe and has likely discerned the intricacies of the twin formation of Yaoguang and Tianshu. In contrast to the Tianshu Emperor, the Yaoguang Emperor appeared significantly older. His withered frame was marked by numerous wrinkles and dark spots, emanating wisps of lifeless energy, resembling a man on the verge of passing. Yet, within his gaze, one could perceive the weight of eons, a glimpse into a timeless dream, radiating an aura that instilled dread. The Tianshu Emperor clasped his hands respectfully, stating, "Rest assured, esteemed ancestor, I am well versed in divination. Last night, I observed the celestial phenomena and deduced that the legacy of our Big Dipper will not falter, but will likely grow stronger. Though we have suffered great losses on this journey, the tide shall ultimately turn in our favor, and victory shall belong to us. The Big Dipper shall endure." To an outsider, it would be astonishing to witness a sovereign of the 100 shackles bowing to an elder. Such an act would shatter their perceptions. How could an emperor humble himself before another? Yet, the Tianshu Emperor willingly performed this gesture of respect. For the Yaoguang sage was a figure of the previous generation of emperors in the Big Dipper. Over millions of years, through the cycles of time, countless emperors and prodigies have perished on the path of cultivation. As time flows inexorably, the leadership and ancient ancestors have changed hands repeatedly, pouring their heart and soul into ensuring the legacy of the sacred ground continues. In this world, apart from the ethereal immortals, no one can achieve eternal life or true immortality. The Yaoguang sage, a grand figure of the previous generation, has lived for nearly 10 million years. The other 6 emperors of the major star systems are his juniors, many of whom he has personally guided. The Big Dipper, which once dominated the heavens, now faces such indignity. We have brought shame upon the Star Lord. Nonetheless, regardless of the circumstances, the Star Lord shall descend, and I shall employ every means at my disposal. Death holds no terror for me. Darkness? That may well represent the worst-case scenario. The Yaoguang sage contemplated silently, his eyes gradually closing, as if he were a stone lying in tranquil silence. Meanwhile, the ancient Galaxy Emperor and Ji Xian traversed the cosmos, alighting upon ancient stars. Approaching the heart of the Yaoguang star system, the ancient Galaxy Emperor toyed with luminous orbs imbued with the essence of life. The beings within had already been liberated by Ji Xian, leaving only their remnants behind. Suddenly, Ji Xian's attention was drawn to a desolate planet, shrouded in an eerie black mist, engulfed in eternal silence. There, he sensed a familiar presence. Ji Xian and the ancient Galaxy Emperor ascended to that ancient star. On the ancient star, majestic peaks rise sharply amidst the vast desert, a realm where not a single blade of grass thrives. The swirling sands and the howling winds herald the desolation of this place. Ji Xian descended into a secluded canyon, tracing the essence that beckoned him to its depths. The atmosphere here was damp, with hundreds of cages haphazardly piled, each containing beings eroded by darkness. They were the sacrificial victims, tainted by the shadows, confined here to prevent them from wreaking havoc upon the world. From either side, the dark entities extended their obsidian claws towards Ji Xian, their faces contorted with hunger as they sensed the presence of life. Amidst the cacophony of their growls, Ji Xian discerned a silhouette, an enigmatic monk, his eyes adorned with 2 uncanny crimson marks, also transformed by the darkness into one of these shadowy beings. This was Di Shirtian. Unlike the other dark entities, he remained eerily silent, curled in a corner of his cage, gazing at Ji Xian with his ebony eyes. Could it be the aura of the sacred realm emanated from him? Ji Xian murmured, momentarily lost in reverie as distant memories surged within him. He brandished his hand, severing the dark beings to silence the canyon before advancing towards the deepest cage. The monk was bound by chains at his ankles, linked to a stone tablet, further affirming Ji Xian's conviction it was indeed him. 200 years, over 5,000 had elapsed, and yet, he had not reached the great Brahmin. A sigh escaped Ji Xian's lips, a pang of sorrow tightening his heart as he recognized the monk before him as the one who had ascended from the Tianxian continent. Though aware that this was not the true essence of the ancient monk Shirtian, an indescribable ache lingered within him. Few were the companions with whom he had shared laughter and camaraderie when the two parted ways to embark on their respective journeys. Time has since rendered their paths starkly divergent. One had emerged as an unparalleled emperor dominating the cosmos, while the other was reduced to a mere sacrificial beast, fading into the annals of time. Their years of camaraderie, although brief in comparison to Ji Xian's protracted existence, had bestowed upon him cherished memories. The Bodhi seed that had once been gifted by Di Shirtian now resided in the possession of Sun Huawang. Today, that very monkey had entered the Buddhist fold, embarking on the path of enlightenment. Was this all destined, or merely a fortuitous coincidence? Ji Xian pondered the uncanny nature of these events. Sun Huawang, bearer of the Bodhi seed, had fortuitously been chosen by the great Thundersound Temple and conferred the title of Fighting Arhat. Thus, the cause of yesteryears bore fruit in the present. In Ji Xian's hand appeared a small tree adorned with glistening Bodhi seeds, a celestial sapling birthed from the very seed he had bestowed upon Sun Huawang. He plucked a radiant golden Bodhi seed from it, bent down, and placed it before the cage. The dark entity rose, crawling towards him with an unsettling calmness, exhibiting no intent to harm Ji Xian. It reached out, grasping the Bodhi seed, bringing it to its nose to inhale its scent, ultimately revealing a peculiar smile. A hoarse voice emerged, exclaiming, "At last, I have found you." Under the bewildered gaze of Ji Xian, the dark being swiftly disintegrated, collapsing like a crumbling earthen wall. Subsequently, a cascade of vibrant light rained down, more enchanting than a rainbow, more radiant than starlight. A Bodhi seed fell into the soil, and through the baptism of the luminous rain, it rapidly took root, breaking through the surface and sprouting a new shoot. Boom! At that moment, a thunderous roar resonated from the cosmos. An endless wave of murderous intent surged forth, as ferocious as a tsunami. The ancient emperor of the galaxy was astounded, exclaiming, "The slaughter formation has been activated." Chapter 363. Fury of the celestial pivot in the starry expanse. The two armies clashed in a heated confrontation. The sounds of clashing weapons and the thunderous roars of spells filled the air, driving all soldiers into a frenzy, nearly losing their sanity, consumed by the desire for bloodshed. Boom! Suddenly, a tremendous sound erupted, causing the sea of stars to convulse, and the two major star systems, Yaoguang and Tianshu, began to tremble violently. This was an exceedingly terrifying force, sweeping through the two star systems, enveloping billions of stars in its tumultuous wake. From the depths of the universe emerged a figure clad in a robe, wielding a whisk, exuding an ethereal presence. With each step he took, the cosmic expanse resonated, as though he were the sovereign of this realm, with the powers of myriad worlds bowing before him. The emperor above the supreme realm commanded a quasi-immortal formation, undoubtedly the esteemed Tianshu emperor. On the desolate ancient star, the ancient emperor of the galaxy gazed at the approaching figure, somewhat astonished. The Northern Dipper had seen countless heroes rise and fall, and the Tianshu emperor was undeniably the most remarkable among this generation of disciples. Unlike his fellow brothers, he embarked on the path of the mysterious arts, ultimately achieving enlightenment and gazing down upon all others. The quasi-immortal formation currently in place was under his control. The Tianshu and Yaoguang star systems transformed into two focal points, under his command, unleashing boundless power. Ji Xian stood atop a mountain peak, gazing at the starry sky. His breath steady, his expression remarkably tranquil, yet a profound, killing intent simmered deep within his eyes. Behind him, celestial energy surged into the heavens, robust as a dragon, casting his majestic silhouette against the starry expanse, compelling all to look up in awe. Naturally, the Tianshu emperor noticed them immediately. "Oh, how amusing that you have appeared upon that burial star, a planet laden with innumerable discarded remnants. Quite fitting as your final resting place," he remarked with a calm smile. As a formation diagram materialized beneath his feet, with the four elemental corners, earth, fire, wind, and water, operating in harmony, governing the cosmos. Ji Xian stood resolute, allowing the oncoming waves of energy to crash against him, unyielding as a great mountain. After a lengthy pause, he shook his head and stated, "The power bestowed by the dark sacrificial offerings does not reside within you. Tell me, who is utilizing these sacrificed beings to draw forth strength?" The Tianshu emperor replied nonchalantly, What difference does it make if I tell you? Do you intend to stand against the divine? You have wronged the Northern Dipper and slain my compatriots. I have no desire to waste words with you. Now, you find yourself trapped in the very heart of the two instruments formation, where the forces of heaven and earth are under my dominion. Do not rush. I shall extract your tendons, strip your skin, and use your very soul to light the celestial lanterns, honoring the spirits of the departed. Upon uttering these words, he gently waved the dust whisk in his hand, and a cascade of luminous rain descended from the heavens, as the stars, under his influence, began to align and rearrange themselves in an orderly fashion. A resonant hum echoed through the void, and the focal artifact emerged, suspended in the heart of the starry sea, subduing all forces and activating the grand formation. This so-called artifact was, in truth, the severed head of a middle-aged man, with fresh blood still trickling from the neck, ensconced in swirling symbols of the laws of time. An artifact forged from the head of an emperor. Father, on a distant ancient star, Shi Tianming and Shi Tianyu knelt in sorrowful weeping. For the very head serving as the focal point was that of the reincarnation emperor. The emperor of the Northern Dipper chuckled. So you are the two remnants of the sacred hall. How easy it is to find you. This is fortuitous. With you, the sacred ancestor need not make such sacrifices. Whether in the immortal palace or the sacred hall, the outcome remains unchanged. The reincarnation sacred body and the reincarnation imperial cannon are merely means for us of the Northern Dipper to summon the celestial beings. He laughed heartily, brimming with arrogance. For beneath the two instruments' grand formation, he was the sovereign of the cosmos. The ancient emperor of the galaxy winced, realizing that the emperor of the Northern Dipper was indeed courting disaster with every word he uttered. Clang! The head of the reincarnation emperor trembled, and with the Northern Dipper and the shaking light galaxies as its fulcrum, radiant black and white light erupted, transforming the endless cosmos into a grand Taiji diagram that encompassed a significant portion of the Northern Dipper universe. Countless stars revolved, as the Taiji diagram gave rise to a force of the great Tao, with the emperor of the Northern Dipper deftly manipulating the myriad stars with the dust whisk in his grasp, harmonizing the momentum of heaven and earth. In the midst of their discourse, the emperor of the Northern Dipper flicked the dust whisk, wielding it with the finesse of a feather to sever billions of strands of starlight. Aimed towards Jixian. The soldiers engaged in battle instantly parted, hastily retreating. The power summoned by the Emperor of the Hundred Shackles could obliterate a corner of the universe. It was far beyond their capacity to withstand. The ancient Emperor of the Galaxy felt a crushing weight upon his neck, blood seeping from the corners of his mouth. He was ensnared in the very center of the Taiji diagram, suppressed by the formation, rendered immobile. Crack! The sound of shattering metal rang out as Ji Xian moved with ethereal grace, effortlessly tearing through the oppressive forces of the great Tao. Golden blood surged forth from behind him, morphing into a roaring lion that shook the sun, moon, and stars, reverberating throughout the universe. In an instant, he locked onto the Emperor of the Northern Dipper, coldly stating, "I had afforded you an opportunity." Boom. The star beneath him was instantly pulverized into dust, and he shot forth like a comet at breakneck speed, reaching the Emperor of the Northern Dipper in the blink of an eye. The void erupted in a series of explosions, as Ji Xian's rapid movement caused widespread indentations and collapses. The sonic booms and ripples of the great Tao obliterated all formations, and the two instruments' grand formation, which had yet to fully activate, was shattered into fragments. Gazing at Ji Xian, who was now mere feet away, the Emperor of the Northern Dipper stood frozen. The smile that had graced his lips moments earlier now petrified in place, unable to retract. In a single step, the distance of nearly 10 million miles across a star domain was traversed. Without a word wasted, Ji Xian unleashed a punch, golden vitality surging forth like a tumultuous ocean, twisting the very fabric of the universe, and devoured the heavenly pivot Emperor whole. This strike was infused with Ji Xian's simmering rage. Both the obliteration of the Emperor Shi Tian and the transformation of the Emperor's severed head into a mere artifact had left him profoundly displeased. Bang! A tremendous sound resonated as the force of his punch pierced the cosmos, striking out over 1,000,000 miles, tearing the heavenly pivot Emperor into fragments. Only a faint spark of the Emperor's primordial spirit endured, flickering like a candle about to extinguish, swaying in the wind as if it could be snuffed out at any moment. Unlike before, the body of the heavenly pivot Emperor was ripped apart, divine blood raining down from the heavens, yet he did not utter a single cry of agony. The entire destruction of his physical form, from the instant Ji Xian appeared to the moment he delivered the fatal blow, transpired in the blink of an eye, the brevity of time rendering him incapable of feeling any pain. The heavenly pivot Emperor was aghast. As a fellow emperor of the Hundred Shackles realm, how could he possibly be no match for Ji Xian in a single exchange? What profound truths of the great Tao had he comprehended? He exclaimed in astonishment, his voice laced with dread, as Ji Xian's eyes, bright as beacons, bore down upon him like a blazing torch, instilling a paralyzing fear. "Forgive me, I submit. I can reveal everything about the darkness," the heavenly pivot Emperor stammered. The void trembled like the surface of water, sending ripples of creation flowing forth. "At this juncture, you still cling to hope? With such meager accomplishments, you dare to employ tricks before this emperor? Ji Xian thundered, slapping forth with a hand to shatter the illusory screen before him, causing the trembling spark of the emperor's primordial spirit to dissipate like bubbles in water. In the distance, a nondescript ancient star echoed with a scream. At the critical moment, the heavenly pivot emperor had resorted to a death substitution technique, swapping out his primordial spirit's flame. Had he not done so, that last strike would have obliterated him utterly. You shameless one, suppressing your own realm. The heavenly pivot emperor exclaimed in panic, fleeing without daring to look back. He could scarcely believe that any cultivator could unleash such power within the 100 Shackles realm, capable of killing him in a single blow. To him, there was but one possibility. Ji Xian's cultivation must exceed that of the 100 Shackles realm. Yaoguang Saint Ancestor, save me, he shouted, racing towards the Yaoguang star system, his voice echoing throughout the universe. Yet, what awaited him was only the overwhelming intent to kill emanating from Ji Xian. Today, not even that so-called Yaoguang Saint Ancestor, nor any celestial being, can save you, Ji Xian proclaimed. In his hand, the bow resembled a full moon, its string taut, and with a resounding crack, the starry seas erupted as a swift arrow shot forth. In an instant, a fierce wind howled, wailing echoed through the realms, and the world dimmed. This arrow transformed into eternity, becoming the sole light amidst the cosmos. Friend, spare him, if you can. An ancient voice finally resonated from the depths of the universe. Above the Yaoguang star system, an aged figure, frail and bent, stood suspended in the void. His eyes held the passage of countless ages, and from his diminutive frame radiated divine brilliance. Undoubtedly, he was a god. Saint Ancestor, the heavenly pivot emperor, cried out, as if grasping the last straw of salvation, quickly hiding behind the Yaoguang Saint Ancestor. The elder extended a mighty hand, reaching for the swiftly approaching arrow, seeking to save the heavenly pivot emperor. A solitary hand obscures the heavens. It is the divine at play. Even before its approach, the galaxy begins to churn, as blossoms of the great Tao cascade from the heights, resplendent in their crystalline beauty. Yet, to the astonishment of all, the intervention of the radiant ancestor fails to alter the tragic course of events. With a force as relentless as nature itself, the piercing arrow shatters the ancestor's defenses, penetrating his palm and nailing the essence of the celestial emperor to an ancient star. In chapter 364, beneath the vast expanse, the radiant ancestor faces defeat. The battlefield is enveloped in an eerie silence. A torrential rain of blood soaks the robes of all cultivators from the Northern Dipper, drenching their very souls. In an instant, the celestial emperor falls. The speed of his demise is such that the grand formation beneath his feet barely activates before being obliterated by Ji Xian in a single encounter. From a distance, the radiant ancestor stands frozen, bewildered as he gazes at the gaping wound in his hand, divine blood gushing forth. Overwhelmed by shock, he hardly registers the pain. In the span of mere months, only one emperor remains in the Northern Dipper, himself. The suddenness of it all is jarring. A year ago, the Northern Dipper thrived, its forces were robust, and the emperors convened to strategize against the Celestial Palace. Yet today, the cycle of reincarnation leads a mighty army to invade the Northern Dipper, swiftly conquering several major star systems, resulting in the fall of multiple emperors. Not only he, but the hearts of all cultivators in the Northern Dipper plummet to despair, the rapid developments so swift that the outside world remains unaware of such upheaval. Ji Xian, harnessing his own strength, rends the quasi-immortal formation, summoning the head of the reincarnation emperor into his crafted microcosm. Observing the dark mist emanating from the radiant ancestor, he has already deduced the identity of the one who sacrificed for the burial of stars, the Emperor Sakya. After a prolonged silence, the radiant ancestor regains his composure, his gaze towards Ji Xian now tinged with caution. It appears the rumors regarding the border are indeed true, he rasps. The tale of Ji Xian's slaughter of deities has spread through the 9 heavens, yet the cultivators of the Northern Dipper regard it with disdain. How could a being of such exalted stature as a deity fall so easily? The radiant ancestor continues, my friend, it would be wise for us to avoid conflict. The realms are in peril, and cultivators of our caliber are few. Should we engage in mutual slaughter, we would only invite external forces to exploit our vulnerabilities. Our current focus should be on the external threats. Upon hearing this, the ancient emperor of the galaxy harbors disdain for the old man. To be cowardly is one thing, but to invite calamity upon oneself, while feigning concern for external foes, is utterly shameless. I have never witnessed such brazen hypocrisy. The ancient emperor of the galaxy exclaims in indignation. Seeing Ji Xian remain silent, the radiant ancestor proposes, what if I, along with the cultivators of the Northern Dipper, depart from this universe and cease to exist among you? Let this realm of the Northern Dipper belong to your Tao sect. My only wish is to preserve the legacy left by the Star Monarch for future generations. This treasure, a gift from the immortals, is far too precious for the realms of the 9 heavens. His voice carries a note of pleading, his frail body evoking the sympathy of those who witness his plight. The cultivators of Beidou fell silent, their expressions grim. They understood that the holy ancestor was striving for a glimmer of hope for the survival of their entire lineage. The Dao sect had become overwhelmingly powerful, catching them off guard, and now, turning the tide seemed an insurmountable challenge. Just as he intended to elaborate further, Ji Xian gestured for silence, halting him. With a flourish, the void unfolded like a canvas, revealing the visages of the two otherworldly beings Ji Xian had slain. The holy ancestor of the shaking light momentarily wavered at the sight of their faces, but quickly regained his composure. Ji Xian remarked, "Old fox, your feigned sincerity does not deceive me. I may be young, but I am not foolish. If I am not mistaken, the dark power within you has reached a pivotal stage, has it not? There are multiple methods to resurrect immortals. The reincarnation of the sacred body is one, and you represent another. How could I possibly allow you to escape? Once you merge with the remnants of the immortal's soul, will you not lead an army to retaliate against my Dao sect? This path is fraught with difficulty. The higher the cultivation, the greater the risks of the vessel. To allow the soul of an immortal to inhabit the body of a deity? Such audacity is commendable. However, it ends here today. Beidou shall surely perish. As my imperial decree proclaims to the world, this is an unalterable outcome." His aura brimmed with murderous intent, his dark hair billowing without wind, transforming him into a battle immortal, ready to clash with the heavens. The shaking light holy ancestor sighed, conceding, "Since you have seen through my intentions, there is little left to discuss. Let us engage in battle. Nevertheless, young one, remember this. If Beidou falls, the Dao sect will not escape unscathed. All forces allied with us will turn against your disciples, slaying them one by one." With a resounding thud, he launched the first assault, his fist striking toward Ji Xian. Though his body was weakened, it unleashed a torrent of ferocious power. A deity's attack, even in old age, could rend the cosmos and obliterate all in its path. Ji Xian, undeterred, swept his sleeve and wielded his palm, transforming it into a silver moon that followed suit. The power of the Yin, soft yet capable of dissipating myriad forces, countered the unparalleled might of the holy ancestor, returning the attack upon itself. Boom! The shaking light holy ancestor was forced back, a gaping wound the size of a fist appearing in his chest. His supreme strike had inadvertently struck his own form. Within the system's realm, the Black Dragon Dominator gun quivered with excitement, having absorbed a great deal of divine blood after the last god slaying, and now, with another deity appearing, it was eager for action. "Stay back. This old man shall be torn asunder by my own hands." Ji Xian advanced, resonating with the natural order of the universe, his figure growing ever larger, illuminating the cosmos. In this moment, he seemed the embodiment of an immortal deity, his every motion stirring the souls of onlookers, compelling them to bow in reverence. "For eons, you are the first old relic I acknowledge as extraordinary to challenge a deity with mere 100 shackles cultivation." Though he spoke thus, the shaking light holy ancestor's strikes were vicious, aimed squarely at Ji Xian's brow, seeking to deliver a fatal blow. He was stalling for time, forcing Ji Xian to defend, as the dark power within him had reached saturation, teetering on the brink of eruption. By that time, the dark power, obtained through the sacrifice of the vitality of countless beings, will erupt in full force. And the passage between the celestial realm and the 9 heavens will open for a fleeting moment, heralding the descent of the immortals. However, reality is ultimately cruel. As the sacred ancestor of radiance shook with fury, Ji Xian was disinclined to defend himself. He merely enveloped himself in a thin veil of divine light, unleashing a barrage of punches that landed solidly upon the sacred ancestor's form. With a grunt, the sacred ancestor staggered back, his torso in tatters, ribs shattered, and spine nearly broken, his body on the verge of collapse. He was filled with trepidation. Despite the emperor's youth and unmatched vigor, Ji Xian's mere physical prowess was suffocatingly overwhelming. Could this disparity in realms truly be real? Unable to withstand the pressure, he spat forth an imperial sword forged from stellar stones, aiming for Ji Xian's brow. "You are far too weak," Ji Xian retorted sharply. With a gentle flick of his hand, the sword was sent hurtling away, embedding itself into an ancient star. In that fleeting moment, the sacred ancestor's head was struck by Ji Xian's fist, exploding with a thunderous crash. The starlight flickered as the dark power awakened, drawing upon the inexhaustible vitality provided by the sacrificed beings, allowing him to reconstruct his body. The sacred ancestor gasped for breath. The outcome of this battle was devoid of suspense, as he was utterly suppressed. Out of the corner of his eye, he glimpsed the arrival of an emperor from the Yuanming heaven, who was currently purging the cultivators of the Big Dipper. He realized he could no longer delay. An ancient scepter appeared in his grasp, causing the void to tremble and celestial might to surge. The scepter, adorned with star diamonds, radiated boundless celestial light, dimming the brilliance of the stars. The heavens and earth convulsed as a formidable pressure emanated from the scepter. The emperor from Yuanming heaven felt an overwhelming burden, while those deeper in the battlefield were obliterated into blood mist, barely surviving thanks to death replacement talismans. This was a genuine celestial artifact, the most powerful foundation of the Big Dipper. With the scepter in both hands, the already battered body of the sacred ancestor was on the brink of disintegration. Clearly, he could not fully wield the celestial artifact. He retched violently, expelling thick black mist, and soon after, his entire being rapidly disintegrated into a heap of rotting flesh. The scepter released celestial energy, seemingly coming to life, morphing into a colossal hand that collected the scattered remains. Suddenly, a blinding light shot from the scepter into the sky, shattering countless stars and stirring the winds and clouds. Above, deep within the cosmos, a celestial gate gradually opened, rippling outward like concentric waves. On the other side, it appeared to connect to another world. Through the celestial gate, Ji Xian beheld a multitude of dark beings. Evidently, the other side led to the celestial realm. He retrieved the chaos bell, suspending it above his head to counter the impending celestial might. With a resounding explosion emanating from the celestial gate, this world was briefly engulfed in white, as if on the brink of annihilation. Soon after, a rift tore through the boundary between the 9 heavens and the celestial realm. A wisp of black mist seeping into this world, slowly descending. The dark beings from another realm became agitated, honing in on the crack and sensing the presence of life. They surged toward that direction in a dense mass. Suddenly, a flash of golden lightning surged forth, bearing the immense pressure of the heavenly path. Repelling them and sealing the crack, Ji Xian lowered his hand, dissipating the divine thunder. His gaze fixed upon the wisp of black mist, his expression grew somber. At that moment, a prompt from the system resonated. Special remnants of a true immortal detected, containing the laws of the celestial path. It is recommended that the host capture it. The system continued. The remnants of the true immortal have the following 3 uses. 1. Refine it into a weapon, transforming it into a weapon spirit, thus upgrading an imperial weapon to a celestial artifact. 2. Provide it with a physical form, compelling it to acknowledge a master. With system modification, it could become a celestial beast. 3. The system will purify and transform the remnants, directly enhancing the host's cultivation. Ji Xian instinctively disregarded the first 2 options. He already possessed an abundance of celestial artifacts and pet sprites, and saw no need for more. If I refine and absorb it, how much will my cultivation increase? Ji Xian inquired. Replying to the host, it could lead to a breakthrough in the mythical realm. The exact amount of layers depends on the host's ability to digest it, the system responded. All right, enough. Be quiet. Ji Xian interjected. This is a battle, not a time for idle chatter. Who has the leisure to converse with you? He promptly dismissed the system interface. In the distance, the remnant spirit of the Big Dipper Lord had arrived. The black mist coiled around the celestial staff, imprinting its mark upon it, establishing a connection with the artifact. Occasionally, celestial light erupted as the shattered remnants of the Yao Guang Saint Ancestor floated up, beginning to reorganize under the enhancement of darkness and celestial energy. After some time, his visage re-emerged, though the entity within was no longer the Yao Guang Saint Ancestor of before. After such a long separation, I wonder how many millions of years have passed. Is this truly my North Dipper heaven? His eyes shimmered with 2 colors, one black and one blue, indicating the presence of 2 consciousnesses inhabiting this body. Welcome, Ancestor. I am the Yao Guang Master. Please, Immortal, save North Dipper heaven. The blue gaze radiated brilliance. Speaking on behalf of the Yao Guang Saint Ancestor, with Xinyuan gone, who dares to provoke my North Dipper? Could it be an otherworldly immortal? The black gaze exuded dark mist as the Big Dipper Lord spoke. In the ensuing moments, 2 distinctly different voices emanated from the same body, engaged in a dialogue that to outsiders appeared as disconnected monologues, creating an oddly surreal atmosphere. The ancient emperor of the galaxy, accompanied by Shi Tianyu and Shi Tianming, quietly withdrew, recognizing that the forthcoming situation was beyond his capacity to manage. Remaining would only complicate matters for Ji Xian. Zhu Jiuyin transformed into a small dragon, alighting upon Ji Xian's shoulder, merging with the divine body of the mythical realm, observing the unfolding events. After a brief moment, the black eye of the Yao Guang Saint Ancestor turned towards Ji Xian, scrutinizing him, his expression growing exceedingly grave, especially upon noticing the chaotic bell atop Ji Xian's head. He sighed. North Dipper, you have provoked the wrong individual. The voice of the Big Dipper Lord echoed, carrying a hint of weariness and sorrow. Ancestor, what do you mean by this? Have you taken over my body only to be outmatched by a mere practitioner of the 100 Shackles realm? The tone of the holy ancestor of Yao Guang was tinged with urgency. After preparing for so long, betraying the celestial principles to ally with darkness, and even sacrificing countless lives at the cost of his own, he had finally summoned a remnant soul of the North Star Lord. Yet, to his dismay, the Star Lord lamented that they had provoked the wrong person. The artifact hovering above his head was an unparalleled celestial treasure. The North Star Lord declared, no? How can this be? Ancestor, do we not possess a celestial artifact as well? This is the treasure you wielded when commanding the celestial forces of the North Star. A flawless celestial instrument. The figure raised the celestial staff in his hand, gesturing to the North Star Lord. The North Star Lord replied, you do not comprehend. A supreme celestial artifact can severely injure even the kings among immortals, whereas your celestial staff pales in comparison. In the past, even the mightiest artifact, the divine ranking of heaven and earth, was merely a shard of a supreme celestial artifact. The bell that hovered above the man's head protected him, thus signifying his status as the master of the supreme celestial artifact. With a flicker of his azure eyes, the voice of the holy ancestor of Yao Guang emerged. Ancestor, I implore you, no matter the circumstance, please save those North Star cultivators. They are the valiant ones who stand against tyranny, the loyal descendants of the North Star. The Xian Emperor will slaughter them all. His tone was nearly despondent. Could even the descent of an immortal not save the North Star? The North Star Lord responded. Very well, regardless of your intentions in summoning me, it is ultimately for the benefit of the North Star. My remnant soul shall not endure for long. We must swiftly conclude this battle. Grant me control of the body. Immediately, the azure eye vanished, and both eyes turned pitch black. The body of the holy ancestor of Yao Guang was now entirely under the command of the North Star Lord, transformed into a true being of darkness. He raised the celestial staff, causing the entire North Star realm to tremble. In the next moment, 7 massive star systems converged towards this singular direction, rapidly condensing into 7 luminous orbs suspended around the celestial artifact. Countless billions of miles of star systems were drawn together. He lifted the staff and gazed into the distance at Ji Xian, murmuring, "Come, let me fight the final battle for the North Star." Chapter 366. The fall of the North Star in this universe. The 7 colossal star systems vanished, entirely under the dominion of the North Star Lord, transformed into personal magical artifacts. Sensing the overwhelming might, Ji Xian understood that the convergence of the 7 stars of the North could activate a grand celestial formation. Now, with the North Star Lord wielding the forces of this realm, holding the celestial artifact, and controlling the celestial formation, he was the absolute sovereign of this battlefield. Stars twinkled across the sky as the pressure of the celestial path surged like a tsunami, crashing towards Ji Xian. Yet, all of it was blocked by the chaos bell above his head, unable to breach even a fraction. The ancient emperor of the galaxy and the cultivators led by Shi Tianyu had long since retreated from this universe, observing the battle from the boundary of the Yuanming realm. The North Star realm had transformed into a desolate battlefield. The power of the celestial path surged fiercely, and even an emperor would meet his demise if he entered. "My master, I can slay him," proclaimed Zhu Jiuyin, his eyes gleaming like golden lanterns, eager to engage the North Star Lord in combat. Ji Xian chuckled. "Do not even think about it. If you were to break through your limits and attain immortality to battle him, what struggle would remain for me? I might as well lie down and surrender." He summoned the Candle of Nine into the system space, confronting the Northern Dipper Star Lord. As a celestial being descended upon the world, did he not deserve a bow of reverence? The Northern Dipper Star Lord spoke, his voice commanding and resounding, exuding an aura potent enough to suppress the chaos of the universe. Even though merely a wisp of a remnant soul manifested, it still cast a monumental influence upon the realm. The cosmos trembled, the great Tao was thrown into disarray, and the celestial being swept through all in its wake. "Celestial? You dare to call yourself a celestial?" Ji Xian retorted sharply. The Northern Dipper Star Lord fell silent, gazing upon his own form, imbued with dark power, unable to offer much in defense. In his current state, he was a grotesque amalgamation of darkness and celestial energy. After a prolonged silence, he proclaimed, "Let us battle. Only through combat can the Northern Dipper find liberation." With a fierce call to arms, he brandished his staff, harnessing the forces of heaven and earth, lifting 7 colossal star systems within his grasp. The Northern Dipper stirred, and an innumerable host of ancient spirits surged forth from the depths of the cosmos. The murderous intent of a celestial formation incarnate. In an instant, a remarkably vivid battlefield materialized, a sea of corpses and rivers of blood. As the overwhelming pressure of celestial might loomed like a primordial mountain, instilling fear in the hearts of all. At that moment, not only the Northern Dipper but other vast universes were shaken. The power of the celestial transcended time, and once invoked, it could annihilate the heavens. Countless powerful beings, sensing the disturbance, hurried toward the Northern Dipper. Although the Northern Dipper Star Lord at this moment could not unleash his full combat potential, he remained capable of effortlessly slaying ordinary emperors. Yet, Ji Xian, with his divine sense commanding the bell, felt no fear in the face of these spirits' murderous intent. The deep toll of the bell resonated, ancient and grand, manifesting myriad phenomena. True dragon soared, white tigers roared, phoenixes spread their wings, and the black tortoise howled. In a cacophony of destruction, all the spirits were shattered beneath the overwhelming sound of the bell, yet the tide of power surged forth unabated. Rushing toward the Northern Dipper Star Lord, he raised his celestial staff, reciting sacred scriptures, as the starry sea boiled, coalescing into colossal waves that surged forth. The Northern Dipper heaven lay within his dominion, each of his movements capable of inciting changes in the cosmic Tao. The unconscious starry sea seemed to awaken, soaring like a celestial dragon, its grandeur pouring forth, with each droplet akin to a star. However, the chaos bell stood firm like an unyielding mountain, shielding Ji Xian beneath it, nullifying all incoming assaults. If the celestial formation of the Dao sect's Jinyan Mountain is this feeble, I would have to flay those 2 Qilins alive, Ji Xian remarked with a smile. His taunts continued as he rode the bell, striking the interior of the cauldron, sending waves of sound rippling outward. The Northern Dipper Star Lord's expression grew grave. In his eyes, that grand bell was an impenetrable bastion. Every assault, even those infused with celestial power, posed no threat to it. As he had stated, the supreme celestial artifact could obliterate all, and the celestial formation's vast starry sea dimmed in its presence. Countless stars lost their brilliance, exploding thunderously into a myriad of meteors that scattered throughout the cosmos. The tolling of the bell persisted, cleaving the Northern Dipper Star Lord in half like a blade, his body severed and sent flying. The celestial artifact, struck by the supreme celestial weapon, also sustained grave damage, nearly fracturing under the impact. This is a battle devoid of suspense. The true North Star Monarch has already fallen, and the residual soul power is utterly incapable of wielding celestial might. The control over the celestial array dissipates instantaneously as Ji Xian waves his hand, seizing the celestial staff. With a hum, the staff struggles violently, its interior housing a spirit-like entity that unleashes chaotic sword energy in an attempt to slay Ji Xian. Yet, all efforts are in vain. The chaotic bell, named for its dominion over the chaos path, merely emits a trace of its aura and suppresses the celestial staff. You are of no use. Perish. Ji Xian's eyes shimmer with brilliance, and from his pupils emanate two robust bolts of lightning that obliterate the staff's spirit. The North Star realm becomes suffused with overwhelming celestial power, causing the entire universe to boil with fervor. The nine heavens connect in a web of energy, and this commotion inevitably attracts the attention of formidable beings from other realms. In the periphery, 4 or 5 figures appear, all paragons of the highest order. Some, driven by curiosity, attempt to draw closer for a better view, only to be struck by the ensuing shockwaves, exploding into blood mist, leaving behind only a flicker of soul fire in flight. Celestial might descends upon the North Star. This news rapidly spreads across the world, igniting fervent discussions among the people. Uncertain whether a celestial artifact has awakened or if a celestial being has truly emerged, others take note of the infernal flames consuming the North Star, aware that a massive conflict is unfolding, likely resulting in cosmic devastation. Cultivators lament that just as the border calamity has ended, internal upheaval threatens once more. How can it be that a supreme force like the North Star is the first to spiral into chaos? In the midst of the fray, the North Star Monarch is repeatedly struck by waves of the bell, his dark form battered and tattered. Weak, far too weak, Ji Xian moves with divine steps, traversing millions of miles in a single stride, cutting through the cosmos like a war deity. Can you truly wield such a weapon as if you were a certain celestial king descended to this realm? The North Star Monarch is filled with dread as he gazes upon the awe-inspiring chaotic bell. How could a weapon of such caliber manifest in this world? It defies logic. Lacking any fighting spirit, he remains in a state of passive defense. To him, this is a battle without suspense, predetermined from the very beginning. This is merely a fragment of his residual soul, capable of achieving so very little. Boom. At last, the chaotic bell descends, suppressing the remnant soul of the North Star Monarch. Ji Xian steps forth, extending his hand to grasp the fragment of the soul. The North Star Monarch looks up at Ji Xian's imposing figure, lamenting, I once was a celestial. How could I have fallen so low? Ji Xian scoffs at this, retorting, you dare speak of once being a celestial? Some celestial beings, even in their downfall, remain devoted to the 9 heavens and 10 earths, descending to impart their Tao source and assist in overcoming tribulations. Yet others conspire with darkness, willingly becoming vessels for malevolent beings, resigning themselves to degradation. Ji Xian's brow emits a golden figure, which rides forth on a sword to slay the soul fire, piercing through the remnant soul of the sacred ancestor of shaking light, extinguishing it on the spot. System, absorb and refine this, he silently commands within. Refining and purifying the darkness, the Lord of the Big Dipper relinquished his struggle, yielding to the mysterious force that had materialized from thin air. At intervals, he transformed into a pure source of energy, soaring into Ji Xian's body. Chapter 367. Mythical Realm. In the mythical realm, one is deemed a deity upon entry. In this realm, practitioners must forge a divine platform within themselves, manifesting their own path of divinity. This is intrinsically linked to the imperial might that practitioners cultivate. One who attains the path of fire becomes a deity of fire, while one who attains the path of water becomes a deity of water. Ji Xian's imperial might boasts over a dozen manifestations, each necessitating the creation of a divine platform to attain divinity. He resolved to commence with the multicolored figurines. These vibrant figures, products of his own imperial might, had yet to receive a name. Despite Ji Xian's previous attempts to name them, he ultimately relinquished his efforts. From this moment forth, shall I call you Nameless? Ji Xian addressed the figurine within the mysterious embryo. Buzz. The figurine, seemingly endowed with its own life and consciousness, fervently shook its head in protest. It greedily absorbed the remaining celestial rules from the remnants of the Lord of the Big Dipper's soul, undergoing a transformation that was visibly apparent. Forging a divine platform is a protracted endeavor. Ji Xian waited for a decade, He sat cross-legged in the vast cosmos, surrounded by emptiness, where millions, even tens of millions of miles of stars had been shattered by the chaos bell. This place had become a forbidden zone, teeming with lethal celestial rules. The 7 major star systems were preserved by Ji Xian as the foothold of the Big Dipper's might. He had entrusted this matter to the ancient emperor of the galaxy, ensuring that everything proceeded in an orderly manner within the decade. In the Big Dipper, all emperors opposed to the Dao sect had perished, leaving only a few supreme beings alive within the ancient clan's forbidden zone deep within the universe. They gazed upon Ji Xian, seated at the center of the cosmos, wary of making any rash moves, for the recent battle had left them shaken, aware that this man was not to be trifled with. Eventually, after several years, under the persuasion of the ancient emperor of the galaxy, these supreme beings chose to cultivate a favorable relationship with the Dao sect, pledging to safeguard this star domain. As a member of the ancient clan of the Big Dipper, Ji Xian was well acquainted with these exalted figures. The forces opposing the Big Dipper had been eradicated, with only 40% of the surrendering forces remaining, the rest having been annihilated. Holy blood stained the firmament, divine blood mingled with the vast seas, reflecting the stark reality within the 7 major star systems. Shi Tianyu and Shi Tianming busied themselves with the arrangements for resettlement. Time flew by, and another decade had passed. Finally, the once still Ji Xian at the universe's center stirred, his snow-white attire gleaming as he ascended to the heavens. Compared to before, he appeared even more ethereal, emanating a hazy celestial aura. From the supreme realm onward, each breakthrough into a new minor realm brought him one step closer to the legendary immortals. Absorption and refinement completed. Reborn to perfect mythical realm, boom. As the system's voice faded, thunderclouds gathered in the depths of the universe. Thunder dragons roared, lightning crackled, and the cosmic barriers were torn apart, as if the heavens were about to collapse. In an instant, billions of beings looked skyward, witnessing a radiant orb flickering amidst the sea of thunder. In comparison to the boundless expanse of the thunderous sea, the luminous orb resembles a leaf swaying amidst a tempest, rising and falling under the relentless barrage of lightning, appearing and vanishing intermittently. Ji Xian shed all his defensive measures, exposing himself to the tempestuous thunderstorm, welcoming the heavenly tribulations without the slightest hint of panic. From within his primordial essence, a vibrant figure emerged, sitting face to face with him, both basking in the electric fury. Typically, great emperors possess their own path-defining weapons, intricately linked to their imperial might, allowing for a greater manifestation of power. For instance, Jiang Xingyang, who wields a spear as his conduit to enlightenment, frequently employs this weapon, while the Emperor Xu Hua, who embodies speed, utilizes armor that amplifies velocity. However, Ji Xian's path transcends the realms, detached from all, incomparable to any singular doctrine. He does not specialize in any specific weapon, for he himself embodies the most formidable armament. The resplendent figure before him is his claim to supremacy over other emperors, forging his own path, far surpassing the trails of predecessors. This is fundamentally why his combat prowess is unparalleled. Thunder rumbled with increasing ferocity, cascading down and transforming the desolate cosmos into a blinding expanse of white. In the distance, the ancient emperor of the galaxy felt a shudder of trepidation, while other ancient emperors faced their tribulations in measured strikes. Ji Xian's thunderstorm seemed as though the heavens themselves had collapsed alongside the sea of lightning. The tumultuous spectacle sent tremors through him. After breaking through 100 shackles, he was now confronting the immense tribulation of mythic realms once again. One cannot compare with another. A mere snake would be incensed. The ancient emperor of the galaxy mused bitterly. Some emperors had existed for 2 or 3 million years, still struggling within the initial realm of enlightenment, while Ji Xian's pace of advancement defied all logic. Yet, moments later, he found solace in the thought. Ji Xian was indeed a being akin to a celestial spirit. Attaining immortality was hardly extraordinary, and reaching the emperor's throne was merely a matter of time. With a nonchalant demeanor, he plucked a blade of dogtail grass, striding with an indifference that disregarded kinship, each step spanning 100,000 miles, vanishing into the depths of the universe. On another ancient star, Ling Yun stood atop a mountain peak, bare-chested, vigorously wielding his yin-yang sword. Each swing brought him closer to mastery. Upon sensing the surging tempest of thunder, he paused, gazing at the distant storm of tribulation, unperturbed, even harboring a hint of yearning. One day, I too shall attain the imperial throne. He clenched his right fist, returning to his rigorous sword practice. Meanwhile, Shi Tianyu stood rooted in place, entranced by the radiance, lost in thought. In a moment of reverie, he perceived the river of time manifesting in the world, with wisps of profound understanding flowing into his heart, allowing his cultivation to advance slightly. Ji Xian's thunderous tribulation was tumultuous, rivaling the activation of a celestial grade formation. Where the lightning traversed, all things were reduced to ashes. The vibrant figure before him grew increasingly luminous, and intermittently, a pearlescent altar materialized within its form. The kaleidoscopic figure suddenly opened its eyes, shrinking to the size of a palm, and stepped into the altar. Within the primordial essence, The vibrant figure stood upon the altar, resembling the most exalted deity in existence. In the mythic realm, Ji Xian attained completeness, leaping to the pinnacle of his own path. In terms of realms, he has already attained a level comparable to that of a fully realized emperor of mythical status. However, the imperial might within him is far from singular. Other imperial forces are clamoring for sustenance, awaiting his creation of a divine platform. To put it simply, while others may find satisfaction in a single bowl of rice, he requires a dozen to feel satiated. Nevertheless, this insatiable appetite grants him a power unmatched by other cultivators. With a resounding clap, Ji Xian's cultivation reached its zenith. He suddenly opened his eyes, and with a sweeping gesture, dispersed all the thunderclouds. In this present moment, he stands shoulder to shoulder with ancient mythological figures, revered as a deity. Reflecting on the two disparate levels of life, Ji Xian mused on the exponential surge of power within him, surpassing 100-fold. The mythical realm and the 100 Shackles realm exist in entirely different dimensions of life. If he were to confront his past self in the 100 Shackles realm now, a single punch would suffice to obliterate him. Ding! Host has breached the Northern Dipper, resulting in a 10 increase in the Heavenly Dao's fortune ratio. Current ratio, 45, just 5 more. Upon returning to the Dao sect, gathering enough from the God-Killer dynasty and other opposing forces should suffice, Ji Xian contemplated. But first, he must address the matters of the Northern Dipper. Rising to his feet, he soared towards the distant 7 major star systems. Chapter 368, The Headless Knight. The Northern Dipper Divine Kingdom, a deity, stood resolutely in the vast cosmos, gazing down at the 7 magnificent star systems before him, cradling them in his palm. The 7 stars of the Northern Dipper represent the most formidable powers of the Northern Dipper heaven, the sovereigns of this realm of the universe. Now, Ji Xian held the immense expanse of galaxies within his grasp, scrutinizing them closely. The words of the Emperor of Tianquan were not unfounded. The starstones of the Northern Dipper indeed possessed extraordinary qualities, Ji Xian reflected. These are rare stones, originating from the Northern Dipper. Excellent materials for refining artifacts and forging weapons. The Northern Dipper Star Lord operates the Grand Celestial Formation with these powerful star stones as its source of energy. Surrounding the 7 major star systems is a belt of planets, composed entirely of star stones, known for their formidable resilience. Unfortunately, they have encountered the forces of the Celestial Palace and Ji Xian. Ji Xian minimized his form to his usual size and flew into the Yaoguang star system. Within a palace suspended above the clouds, Shi Tianming and Shi Tianyu were seated across from one another, deliberating on matters concerning the Northern Dipper. The ancient galactic emperor leaned languidly against a nearby pillar, on the verge of sleep. Your Highness, the various leaders who have come to submit, most of whom are quasi-emperors and great saints, await your audience. A gentle rustling of footsteps echoed from outside the hall. Ji Xian, with strides that spanned 100 feet, radiated dazzling starlight, approaching the grand hall like a celestial being. Having mastered the grand cosmic forces of the Northern Dipper, all starlight converged upon him. The onlookers, momentarily blinded by his resplendent radiance, could not discern the identity of the newcomer. By the time they regained their composure, Ji Xian had already taken his place upon the highest throne. Greetings, Your Excellency. The leaders hastily knelt in reverence, their hearts racing, still haunted by the sound of footsteps that lingered in their ears, wondering how the figure had already seated himself upon the throne. Could it be a distortion in time and space? Extraneous words need not be spoken. Those who comply shall thrive, while those who oppose shall perish. Ji Xian proclaimed with an air of undeniable authority. We are naturally inclined to submit. The leaders responded in unison. Ji Xian nodded and said, disperse. If there is anything to report, seek out this individual beside me, the ancient emperor of the galaxy. He gestured towards the white-haired youth leaning against the pillar. The various leaders turned to glance at the drowsy young man, who was absent-mindedly picking his nose, and could not help but feel a twinge of trepidation. The ancient emperor of the galaxy? Is this being also an emperor? The ancient emperor stretched lazily and soon noticed the skeptical gazes of the leaders. He felt a slight annoyance and pointed at one of the weaker cultivators, rebuking, what are you staring at? Step forward for a duel. Do you think I'm here to amuse you? Step forward and fight. Have you ever taken a life? Have you ever witnessed death? The individual being scrutinized immediately felt a chill run down his spine, as an overwhelming imperial aura descended upon him like a great mountain, rendering him breathless. Spare me, ancient emperor. He quickly knelt, forehead to the ground, drenched in sweat, as the emperor's unintentional pressure weighed heavily upon him. The other leaders also bowed their heads, now convinced that this individual was indeed a great emperor, having hidden away in the snake cave for millions of years. It was the first time the ancient emperor received such reverence from the world. Naively, he attributed this entire scene to Ji Xian. From now on, the Northern Dipper will bear the Ji surname. It will all be governed by my adoptive father, the ancient emperor proclaimed as he descended the steps, strolling among the crowd. The more he spoke, the more fervent he became. You all need to keep your subordinates, the little Karami, in check. Anyone who dares to err, haha. The leaders inwardly scoffed, wondering, what on earth is an adoptive father? Yet, upon glancing at Ji Xian seated above, they suddenly understood everything. Ji Xian also frowned slightly. This individual is becoming increasingly lewd. He is truly a disgrace to emperors. After putting on a show, the ancient emperor dismissed the leaders and departed. Within the hall, only Shi Tianyu and Shi Tianming remained. Ji Xian tore through the void, retrieving the head of the reincarnation emperor, and with a gentle breeze, presented it to the two brothers. Father, Shi Tianyu rushed forward, tightly embracing the head of the reincarnation emperor, weeping uncontrollably. This head had been refined into a semi-artifact by secret methods, containing the essence of Tao laws, and could no longer be referred to as a mere corpse. The Emperor of the Celestial Pivot had intended to insult the reincarnation immortal palace, but did not anticipate Ji Xian's overwhelming might, which resulted in his swift demise. Take it back and bury it properly, Ji Xian instructed. The two brothers promptly expressed their gratitude and carefully placed the head of the reincarnation emperor into a black box. Ding! The system's notification suddenly echoed. Detected that the host has presented a head of the 100 Chains Realm Emperor, triggering a probability of 15 million times return. Acquired a semi-ancestor level immortal beast, Headless Knight. Damn it, what an opportune moment. Ji Xian could not help but curse inwardly. While others were preparing to bury their father's head, the system had summoned a Headless Knight. Thank you for the compliment, host. Headless Knight, Celestial Realm Knight, Master of the Path of Death, has now been dispatched to the system space. Please check your inventory. Immediately, a Headless Knight appeared within the system space. According to the host's world level, their cultivation has been automatically adjusted to the pinnacle of the Feathered Ascension realm. Just as Ji Xian was about to summon, the system eagerly propelled the Headless Knight before him. This knight, Master of the Path of Death, was clad in black armor, wielding a long spear, and mounted upon a headless steed. Despite its lack of a head, its stature and limbs indicated that it was indeed a horse. An overwhelming aura of death emanated from it as the Headless Knight dismounted and bowed to Ji Xian. Shi Tianming and Shi Tianyu were taken aback by the sudden appearance of this bizarre knight. Particularly upon noticing its absence of a head, their expressions turned sour, as if it had dredged up some unpleasant memories. Ji Xian felt somewhat awkward after hastily acknowledging the Headless Knight. He inwardly vented his frustrations upon the system's ancestors for 18 generations. His language remained civil, leading the system to mistakenly interpret his sentiments as gratitude, prompting it to respond with occasional humility. Once the brothers departed, the system continued its tirade until Ji Xian forcibly closed the interface, finally silencing it. Exasperated, Ji Xian let out a long breath. As darkness enveloped the sky, only the Headless Knight remained by Ji Xian's side, awaiting orders. From this day forth, you shall guard the northern Dipper Heaven, with all matters overseen by you and the ancient Emperor of the galaxy. If that serpent acts out of line, deal with it harshly, but take care not to kill it, Ji Xian instructed. Yes, master, replied the Headless Knight, its voice emanating from the energy within, as it possessed no mouth. Moments later, Ji Xian departed from the heavenly palace, soaring beyond the ancient star and gazing down upon the shaking light galaxy from the heavens. He extended his right hand, and the starry scepter representing the northern Dipper appeared within his grasp. Boom! The entire northern Dipper heaven began to tremble. The momentum of heaven and earth converging under Ji Xian's control. He proclaimed to the entire northern Dipper heaven, and indeed to all 9 heavens and 10 earths, I, Ji Xian, hereby abolish the 7 sacred grounds of the northern Dipper and establish the northern Dipper divine kingdom. I have ascended to divinity, severed the true immortal, and command the grand momentum of this realm, self-styled as the northern Dipper divine king. All forces within the divine kingdom shall automatically fall under the jurisdiction of the 3,000 states of the profound Heaven Dao sect. Chapter 369. A visit to the ancient clans. The northern Dipper has changed hands. The entire realm of cultivators was astounded. They were aware of the upheaval within the northern Dipper, but never anticipated such a sweeping transformation. On that day, the divine texts recited by Ji Xian soared across the 9 heavens and 10 earths, announcing this momentous event and causing a great uproar. The northern Dipper, a prominent force among the 9 heavens and 10 earths, boasted vast territories and formidable strength, with over 10 emperors in its midst and deities overseeing it. No one foresaw the abolition of the 7 sacred grounds, the establishment of the divine kingdom, and Ji Xian's self-proclamation as the northern Dipper divine king, thereby seizing control. In a swift turn of events, countless powerful beings flocked to the northern Dipper divine kingdom to verify the truth, ultimately concluding that the 7 sacred grounds had been subsumed under the Dao sect. At this moment, the powerful felt a sense of unease as the Dao sect advanced relentlessly, conquering 2 major universes in rapid succession, exhibiting a trend towards unifying the 9 heavens and 10 earths. People began to recall the ancient celestial court and the sword palace that once dominated the realms, growing concerned that the Dao sect might emulate them and seize control of this world. Especially those forces that had previously allied with the northern Dipper and were preparing to march against the Dao sect were filled with trepidation, beginning to worry for their own safety. With the northern Dipper having fallen, how far could they be from doom? As turmoil brewed in the outside world, Hostile factions hastily proclaimed their intent to unite against the expansionist tendencies of the Dao sect. Meanwhile, some factions seized the opportunity to express goodwill towards the Dao sect, hoping to ingratiate themselves. At the center of this maelstrom stood Ji Xian, who strolled through the vast cosmos, preparing to visit the dormant ancient emperors of the Northern Dipper. He truly had arrived. An ancient emperor, concealed on a remote ancient star, caught sight of Ji Xian in the distance, his expression one of astonishment. And he quickly relayed the news to others. Swiftly, several streaks of light shot forth from the depths, materializing before Ji Xian. "What brings you here, Dao friend?" inquired a soaring azure dragon. With a smile, Ji Xian replied, "Nothing much, merely came to check in on you all. Is everything well in the Northern Dipper?" The emperors nodded vigorously. He continued, "I have heard that you once shared a close bond with the Northern Dipper sacred land, and even sought out powerful beings for sacrifices. Is this true?" Some ancient emperors, still mulling over his initial question, nodded incessantly, but upon encountering Ji Xian's gaze, imbued with a chilling intent, they broke into a cold sweat. "And no, absolutely not. What do you mean, Dao friend? We are all kin, having been born under the same sky." The ancient emperors responded courteously. Noticing their palpable fear, Ji Xian stated, "In that case, those of you in the Northern Dipper should heed the commands of the Divine Kingdom without issue, correct?" Upon hearing this, the expressions of the emperors stiffened. They had previously pledged to the Galaxy Ancient Emperor to safeguard this universe, but they had not consented to be commanded. One could not help but ponder, who among them could issue such commands? They hesitated, contemplating the implications. Suddenly, a rift tore through the void, from which a resplendent celestial staff descended, plummeting toward the cosmos below. With a resounding crash, the celestial artifact struck a million-mile-wide ancient star, which subsequently erupted with a thunderous boom, turning to dust. The overwhelming celestial might radiated outward, compelling the ancient emperors to avert their gaze. "My apologies," Ji Xian chuckled, extending his hand to grasp the celestial staff, addressing the ancient emperors as the sovereign of the Divine Kingdom. "Is it not reasonable for me to carry a celestial artifact for protection?" As he spoke, he raised the artifact, advancing forward. The power of the celestial way weaving through the air, sealing off the star domain in an instant. This action startled the ancient emperors, causing them to retreat repeatedly. "Quite reasonable. Extremely reasonable," Ji Xian said with a smile. The Azure Dragon Emperor wiped his brow and replied, "We agree, of course. Sharing the same sky makes us kin. Henceforth, we shall serve the Divine Kingdom with utmost dedication until our last breath." Pleased, Ji Xian nodded in approval and turned to the other ancient emperors. "And what of you?" "We too." The emperors could only acquiesce, knowing that any defiance would lead to immediate suppression by the celestial artifact. "Thank you, esteemed friends." Ji Xian symbolically clasped his hands, and then transformed into a beam of celestial light, vanishing into the depths of the universe in an instant. This is utterly intolerable. The body of the ancient emperor of the Azure Dragon went limp, having transformed from a serpent to a dragon and enduring countless tribulations to become an emperor. He had never felt so repressed. "Bah, how can you still have the audacity to speak, given your so-called diligence?" Another ancient emperor scoffed. "I would rather not be in this predicament. Just look at what he is holding. A divine artifact that could slay an emperor with a mere breath. Not to mention, having survived divine tribulations, his realm alone could easily suppress all of us present," said the ancient emperor of the Azure Dragon. The others looked despondent. From their initial role as guardians of the starry domain to their complete subjugation now, the stark contrast left them feeling quite unsettled. Meanwhile, Ji Xian prepared to depart, intending to return to the Dao sect. The last perilous element of the North Dipper had been resolved, and it was time to return to the sect for the next phase of deployment. At the pinnacle of the universe, Ji Xian gazed down at the 7 great star systems and communicated with Ling Yun and Shi Tianyu, inquiring whether they wished to return to the Dao sect. Ultimately, Ling Yun turned away from Shi Tianyu and embarked on the journey back to the sect with Ji Xian. "Master, dark matter has been appearing in the North Dipper intermittently. During this time, I have slain several incomplete beings. It has been quite troublesome," Ling Yun remarked. During his decades in the North Dipper, he had traveled extensively, traversing towering mountains and crossing vast oceans, witnessing many events unfold. The only matter that truly captured his attention was the dark beings. Ji Xian waved his sleeve, and a gentle breeze stirred, revealing particles of dark matter that he cradled in his palm. He responded, "Indeed, the day is not far off. A major upheaval will inevitably arrive. Strive to grow stronger to face all of this." "Yes." Ling Yun clenched his right fist, his eyes brimming with fighting spirit. Ji Xian took him across the boundaries of the North Dipper universe, flying towards the realm of Yuanming. In the vast cosmos, ancient stars of varying sizes rotated in an orderly fashion, and scene after scene faded behind Ji Xian. 3 years later, they returned to Yuanming. Ji Xian left Zhu Jiuyin behind to guard the Celestial Palace, for the pressure that Yuanming faced was no less than that of the North Dipper, necessitating an unparalleled powerhouse for protection. The 5-colored sparrow perched on Ji Xian's shoulder, shedding tears as it bid farewell to Zhu Jiuyin, filled with emotion. Zhu Jiuyin waved his tail in farewell before departing without looking back. Over the years, the five-colored sparrow had followed Ji Xian, daily nurturing its innate qi, and had ascended to the realm of Saint Sovereign, nearly on the brink of breaking through to the great saint. Its small head nuzzled against Ji Xian's neck, exuding charm and liveliness. Ling Yun observed the diminutive bird, his eyes wide with awe, swallowing hard. "It's so plump," he muttered, drool escaping from the corner of his mouth uncontrollably. "Chirp, chirp." The five-colored sparrow shot him a wary glance, then burrowed into Ji Xian's collar, revealing its small eyes to scrutinize Ling Yun. Seeing this, Ji Xian chuckled, tore through the void, and vanished from Yuan Ming. Chapter 370. On Mount Jinyun. At the Dao sect, on Mount Jinyun, the two-harled dog, seizing the moonlight, set up a large pot, adding dry firewood and fierce flames, boiling water to a rolling heat. The spirited canine sat beside the cauldron, adding vegetables to the water while humming, after savoring pickled vegetables and boiled tofu. "No one compares to me." He lifted the ladle and took a sip, smacking his lips with satisfaction. "Ah, drinking soup is indeed a delightful affair." In the distance, Xiao Aoxing and the howling sky dog strolled out from the depths of the forest, arms draped over each other. Hey, there's no need for pleasantries. We are brothers." The howling sky dog chuckled as he stretched out his paw towards Aoxing's waist, attempting to pilfer the wine flask. "Not a chance." Aoxing swatted his paw away, guarding the flask like a precious treasure. "I went to great lengths to steal this, with my mother's permission no less. My father said it was left by the Lord Xian Emperor at the Dao sect." The howling sky dog scoffed, puffed. "No need to brag. Back in the day, even Ji Xian had to treat me with fine food and drink. I'm already tired of the very wine you hold." Though he said this, he scrutinized the exquisite flask with a fervent gleam in his eyes. "Sour grapes," Aoxing retorted. The howling sky dog, noticing Aoxing's disbelief, boasted, "You little dragon. You've never even ventured beyond Xian State. What do you know? In my days as the lord of the Nether Mountain, celestial treasures and wines were delivered by carts." Aoxing replied, "Spare me your tales. You constantly boast of being an emperor, but what emperor has a dog as a subordinate? A true emperor should be like Lord Xian, defending the Dao sect across the 9 heavens." His azure eyes sparkled with admiration, resembling twinkling stars. The howling sky dog dismissed him. "I was far more illustrious than him back in the day, had it not been for his cunning schemes." Puffed. As they conversed, the two had approached the boiling cauldron. "How's the wine prepared?" the canine inquired. Aoxing glanced around furtively and replied, "Rest assured, I quietly took it out while my parents were engaged." The canine paused, tilting his head in confusion. "Why do your parents fight every day? What is the situation?" The howling sky dog's expression darkened, wishing to slap some sense into the foolish dog. "At over 200,000 years old, how do you not understand what engaged means?" Aoxing shook his head, sighing. "The situation is quite dire. My mother is always at a disadvantage, while my father dominates her, making her cry out. It's peculiar. Usually, my father fears my mother. But at night, he always turns the tables. When I attempt to intervene, my mother blushes and tells me to leave. It's truly ungrateful." The canine extended a paw to pat Aoxing's head, offering comfort. "Such is the world of adults. Do not dwell on it. If the day comes when my seals are lifted, I shall assist your mother in dealing with your father." Aoxing nodded, expressing his gratitude. "How did I end up with these two?" The howling sky dog groaned, utterly perplexed. Suddenly, 2 figures emerged from the jungle, a man and a woman, each holding freshly caught black chickens. Catching these spiritual black chickens is quite a hassle. Jingjing shook her hands and tossed one to the canine. Wang Lu untied the rope in his hands, presenting the caught game beside the campfire. In the stillness of the deep night, while the world lay in silence, a few individuals gathered around a bonfire on Mount Jinyun, indulging in merriment and libations. Above them, Ji Xian stood amidst the clouds, observing the scene with a bemused smile and a shake of his head. Ling Yun, however, was fixated on Wang Lu, his eyes practically sparking with indignation. This young man, instead of pursuing his cultivation during such a splendid time, was frivolously seeking pleasure. He silently withdrew his belt, preparing to confront Wang Lu. "Ah, what are you doing?" Ji Xian intervened, stating, "If the child enjoys himself, let him be. Cultivation and breakthroughs do not occur overnight." His words resonated with wisdom, prompting Ling Yun to reluctantly retract his belt. Nearby, woohoo woohoo, the howling dog, wagged its tail and danced exuberantly before the bonfire, eliciting continuous laughter from the onlookers at its comical antics. At that moment, Ao Sheng approached, tipsy and pushing the howling dog aside, declaring, "Step aside. It is my turn. My father taught me a few moves, claiming they are traditional martial arts. I can practice them in secret when alone. Today, I shall demonstrate." With that, he began to unbuckle his belt to commence his performance. "Ha ha ha, here comes the chicken soup." At the bonfire, Erha strode forth with a large pot in hand. He lifted the lid, and the fragrant steam of chicken soup wafted through the air, tantalizing the senses of those present. Just then, Ji Xian silently appeared behind Erha, his tall figure fixated on the pot. The crowd was momentarily taken aback, staring at Ji Xian's silhouette in stunned silence. Especially Ao Sheng, whose earlier drunkenness evaporated as he instantly recognized the figure behind Erha. Overwhelmed with excitement, he thought of the countless images he had seen. He was finally witnessing the real person. Ji Xian raised a finger to his lips, signaling for silence. What is going on? Erha was bewildered, unsure of the crowd's peculiar behavior. Why are you all looking at me? Is there something on my face? Unbeknownst to him, he stood with his back to Ji Xian, oblivious to the unfolding events. The howling dog gazed at Ji Xian, swallowing hard, contemplating. In merely a few thousand years, this individual has grown exponentially stronger. Drink up, drink up. Erha wagged his tail, his tongue lolling out as he foolishly urged. Seeing no movement from the crowd, he grew anxious and stomped his paw. For heaven's sake, why aren't you drinking? Jing Jing, Wang Lu, and the others, drawn by the enticing aroma of the soup, remained unmoved. They gestured to Erha, indicating he should turn around. Nodding, Erha began